back to the Invictus stream. My name, as always, is Mr. Harlan Guthrie, and we are here tonight with the lovely, the talented, my love, Miss Jo Fallak. Reveal. Wait.
It's me.
There we go. We are joined once again by the terrifying Gary. Oh my God! No, it was great. It's very scary. And of course, we are joined by the extremely, superbly talented Mr. Timm Woods. So happy to have you back on the show, man. And we are here tonight with part 2 of Call of Cthulhu, The Waking Children. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so excited to be back. We are so happy to be here. Again, huge thanks to Tim coming off his record premiere, the Green Knight G4 TV?
It was with G4, Absolute TV.
An absolute blast of a game, man. You should be so proud.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And for anyone who hasn't seen, go check out G4 TV's YouTube channel. You can see Tim running the Green Knight for a retinue, if that's right. Was that the right word?
Yeah, that's the right word.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Retinue of amazing players and
star-studded cast.
A star-studded cast, and but you know, all them aside, he killed it, and a huge round of applause again to him.
It's a very fun game. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you did it justice. And speaking of things that he also did justice, this is Tim's book, Random Tables, Cities and Towns. The Game Master's Companion for Developing Inns, Shops, Taverns, Settlements, and more. Spelling mistake there, Tim. Just kidding. Find it on Amazon. We got it, and honestly, look, you all have known us for a long time. If you're watching this, we don't really promote shit that we don't like or believe in. It's an awesome book. I was quizzing Joe on, not quizzing.
I failed.
I was asking, pick a number 1 to 100, and we built a little town while making dinner. It's got trash details in it, guys. The stuff you don't want to think about. The stuff that you just want to
sewer stuff
have on hand. That's exactly what this book does. And as Tim aptly put last week, that's the stuff you don't want to have to think about. So having it right on hand.
All those little BS things your players are going to ask you that you didn't plan because it wasn't the important stuff. They'll never ask you about the cool lore you came up with and all the detailed stuff you did do in the town. For everything else, there's my book you can roll on the table, and they can scheme around whatever you just.
Colin said he bought it from last week. He's been loving it. Yeah.
Colin, MVP.
Attaboy, Colin. And everyone else, read a book!
Read a book. Read a book.
This book. Is Joe saturating the mic? She's a bit loud. You know what?
Is Joe a bit loud?
I might be.
She might be loud.
I like
maybe I'm just real hyped up.
Saturating the mic. That's a very
saturated.
Should I go turn me down?
No, you can just pull the mic away. There. That's the budget version of doing it. Just moving
How's this, everyone?
There you go. No, it is a really cool book, and Tim. I don't want to make this super clear for the audience because, when Tim agreed to join us, it was to join a game. Full stop. I laid it on him last week. The other episode, I was like, do you got anything you want to talk about? He's like, yeah, cool with this. And then we bought the book on our own volition and read it and all like it. He's not interested in us promoting it. We're promoting it because we like it and we like Tim. So,
but I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Well, I gotta say that because sometimes you see people come on stuff and you're like, well, they're just being paid to say it.
You can Venmo us the money later, Tim.
Yeah. Is Venmo a thing?
Venmo's a thing.
I hear people say it. I've never been Venmo.
It's like a cash app.
Yeah. Is it American?
I don't know.
It is odd. It's like you can comment on the thing, you can pay someone and comment on it or love it. It's like
little emojis for it. Yeah.
All right, fine. It's connected to my bank. I will pay you. I'm not going to write a comment like, cool payment, dude.
Awesome paying me on time, Gary. Rent's a month late, fuckface.
Angry emoji.
Angry emoji.
Yeah,
no, he's
I'm not
excited.
Pleased.
It's like 2 thumbs up. No, but it's basically PayPal, says Colin. So yeah, I know PayPal.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, sorry. That's
No.
my joke.
Don't apologize. Yeah, it is Wednesday night. New episode of Dice Shame comes out tomorrow. New episode of whatever else is coming out. Don't forget to get vaccinated. Don't forget to still wear masks. Don't forget to.
Yeah.
This is the 18 plus warning. What else do I got?
Oh yeah, 18 plus warning. This game features strong adult themes.
Yeah.
So if you are someone who may be triggered by a plethora of violence against children and animals and whatnot.
Animals.
I don't know. Maybe.
No, you're right. I mean, more importantly, if you're watching part 2 and you haven't heard the warning from part 1,
Oh yeah.
Go back.
go back to part
Listen
1.
to that.
You're gonna be so confused. You don't want to know what's going on. You're gonna be like, "Who are these
You'll
people?
enjoy it.
And what are they doing here?" I'd love to just have somebody join in part 2 and think they know
What is this mystery? This sounds crazy.
what's going on. But yeah, no, it is.
Oh, like the video.
Sure, we'll do that if you want. But yeah, it is 18 plus. Canadian version of R, NC-17. I don't think they use 18 plus in the States, do they?
I think it's R-rated if it's 18 plus
it's just
here.
R.
In Ireland, I think we would 18s. It's like a little red circle with 18 in the middle. Like, oh, that's the film I count.
That's kind of, we're so...
Gary's 16. Got a great beard, Gary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really young, lads.
We're really excited to be pushing the boundaries of Call of Cthulhu and madness and all that kind of jazz. You know what? I'll summarize last week for everybody watching anyway, because I was just doing it for these
That's
guys.
nice.
We'll do, but it'll be more brief. It'll be less like detail oriented. So,
Do some stuff. It was scary.
our 3 investigators saw a man walk off the edge of a building, dying right before their eyes. They were brought to a police station where they were questioned, pretty run-of-the-mill questions. Afterwards, they encountered a man by the name of Leonard Grimsby, I believe. Right? Yeah.
It is now.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Tim.
Grimsby's a great
Tim
name.
took notes.
Grimsby. Writing it down.
Leonard Grimsby.
Who requested aid. He asked them to look into the missing body from the morgue that he worked at, the Arkham morgue. The investigators were compassionate to this man's plight and agreed to help him. And so they followed up and investigated the morgue to find that there was signs of something more sinister going on, a ritual. Red candle wax melted down to the wick, and a series of blood-soaked footprints leading out. They followed up to an apartment of one Eddie Horton, a man whose wallet was left at the scene of the crime, only to find that Eddie had perished through visceral and monstrous means. His stomach was torn asunder, and he was.
He also had a wound on his arm that was older.
That's right. Not too much older.
That we never really were able to discern the
Maybe
true
like a bad
etiology.
scratch or something. We thought.
Could be
Slightly healed, I have written down.
slightly healed. Well, only slightly, and I want to stress that because I
You'd
might have
gotten
done
it
that.
earlier and some time had passed, and then,
Look at this. Look at this.
We'll call it coagulated.
Coagulation, that's right. And which brings you to now, as you descended the stairs and looked off into the woods, you saw the bloody footprints sort of heading out into the woods, and so on and so forth. So that is a bit of a summary. I don't think there's anything else we need to talk about. Shall we get right into it?
Can I just get a confirmation? Had we confirmed the identity of this missing body yet?
Yes, it was a Leanne
And
Oh yeah,
something.
Paddock?
Yeah, we got an
Paddock, that's it.
Paddock.
autopsy report.
I think
She was on the
Tim
autopsy
is going to
report.
start off this session with an advantage die. I don't remember what they call it in Call of Cthulhu, but I'm going to give you advantage for just being so great with the notes. I appreciate it.
All
You know that.
unlabeled names that have been
Teacher's
scrawled like a madman in this notebook. None with any idea of what their relevance was.
Did you just
I
call him
appreciate it.
teacher's pet?
Yes, it did.
Doesn't matter. You still took notes, and that's important.
I appreciate it.
Perfect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let us play The Waking Children. An abyssal black lingers in the back of your mind, like a cold wind blowing fast and wicked. You can feel something following you. Thunder growls loudly against the dark sky high above as you stare into the darkened woods. You stand before J.D. Ackerman's rare bookstore, the soft yellow light glowing out onto the pavement just behind you as the three of you share an uncomfortable knowing look as the blood-red footprints head off into the woods. You've just left the apartment of Eddie Horton, a visceral and terribly disgusting sight. And you have also retrieved a book, one that you're not quite sure of its exact purpose, but you have your suspicions. You stand next to this bookshop, sharing a moment in the cold rain between the three of you. What do you say?
So, what time is it now? Is it in the realm of possibility that JD's shop would be open?
Absolutely. Yeah, especially JD, this is a shop that you've visited once or twice, Gary.
Right.
And this is definitely somewhere that sort of caters to the late night clientele, those who might be cramming for tests at Miskatonic, or perhaps even the odd teacher who might be looking for a rare text.
Okay. Lester will say, so, I'm not incredibly keen on following bloody footprints, right now. We do have this book here, and none of us could read. Shall we pop in and see if JD has any answers for us?
I think that makes sense. And then after that, maybe we can stop at poor Leanne's father's house. It seems from the letter that we read inside that Eddie wrote, it's possible he was responsible for some of this violence.
Yeah, isn't it? He is not allowing Eddie to see a child between poor Leanne and Eddie?
Yes, and he admits in the letter that they came to confrontation. He said, in my anger, I tried to hit him.
Bit of violence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The child Eli seems like he's not the better for what's happening here. I wonder what's become of the boy.
Yeah.
We think we know what's happened to Leanne, and she looks out at the bloody footprints disappearing away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Martha, this is sort of a real striking difference to the way you viewed the world. For the most part, you've always had your doubts, of course, but how does she react seeing this grisly scene?
Right now, I'm at 38 sanity out of my original 50.
38?
She is not.
Same,
absolutely.
Same.
I'm feeling pretty rattled by all of this. She is definitely feeling like her faith has been shaken before, but never like this. And she feels there's almost this slight giggle to her voice after she says what she just said, looking at the bloody footprints and the stark, obvious evidence of something supernatural potentially awaiting them out in the woods. She's like, let's go into the bookstore. We know maybe what we'll expect there.
Yeah. And, Lester, Professor Boffin, last time we sort of talked about how the sanity was wearing on you and sort of your staunch disbelief of what was happening. And we also sort of gave you a bit of an aversion. Do you remember what that was?
Hold on now. So yes, he is questioning pretty much everything at this point, because up until probably Eddie's apartment, he was just nah, no, this is not possible. So yeah, he's having a hard time with this, and looking at those footprints is inevitable. He's gonna have to go, and he does not want to. But there's also the curiosity, especially for him, and he'll probably go.
Perfect.
But he would like to know about this book.
Yeah, so, I mean, regardless, I suppose you head into Ackerman's Books, which, as you know, sits off one of the main streets in Arkham, tucked neatly between an antique store and a vacant bar called the Griffin. You roll into the front door. The dim yellow light shines between the tall stacks of books in the front windows as you step up towards the building, and the wind whistles loudly as you enter. You're greeted by a familiar and comfortable scent of paper-bound books. Between the large shelves, you see a small desk at the back, and a single yellow lamp illuminated a vacant chair behind the desk. A bell sits that reads "Ring for service."
I stride over confidently and ring the bell.
Yeah. And I want to say, Lester and Martha, I think maybe you two more than Izzy, there's a sense of comfort in this space. The claustrophobic nature of these books almost brings a smile to your face as that scent of leather, of the freshly cracked open book sort of just brings your senses back to maybe your school days and something like that. And suddenly you do feel much more comfortable as you enter.
Are there any sitting chairs or overstuffed chairs to sit and read in
There's a nice, well-worn, comfortable leather, almost not recliner, but a leather chair next to a stack of books.
She finds the comfiest, most grandmotherly chair in the corner and just tucks herself down on it. She doesn't have a purse to put on her lap or anything like that, but she just folds her hands. And I'm just making sure she wouldn't have the book right now, right? I think
Lester wanted to hold it.
Absolutely, just making sure. Then she seems like she's recovering now, but is sitting and regathering herself and feeling better in this environment.
Yeah, and the books, they're almost stacked haphazardly as you're looking around, Martha. They're not just on the shelves, but they're in large, almost 3 or 4 foot high stacks where someone's taken one off, put it down, and it sort of adds this feng shui sort of feeling to the area around you. And despite its disorganized nature, it does feel very comfortable. And as you ring the bell, it loudly rings out in stark contrast to the quiet, almost dulcet sort of murmur of this place, which seems to be empty save for the three of you. And after a few moments, you hear a set of footsteps come from the back. A sheepish-looking, bald man with thin, wire-rimmed glasses who doesn't look completely different than Leonard Grimsby himself, except fairly old and, compared to him, maybe by 10 years. This man is in his mid-40s. He wears sort of a gray jacket and a bow tie with sort of just the faintest bit of blue. He sheepishly steps out without even looking at you, sort of his nose into a book that he has on a pile of 2, and he very casually walks out, sets them down, finishes reading, and then says, "Yes, how can I help you?"
Good evening, sir, Mr. Ackerman?
Junior, DeWitt, please. And he reaches a hand across and shakes you.
He shakes me.
Shakes your shoulders.
Izzy McIntyre, pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Hey, and you? Oh, and I think maybe... How often have you been here, Lester?
Once or twice. But
Okay.
he will have spoken at a little bit of length to know what are the best... In discussing his profession, he will have gone there to be like, I want all the books that a professor of the occult would have. What are those books? And I want them all.
And I think JD, or Junior DeWitt, as he's introduced himself as, is somebody who doesn't, forget a face. And he sort of immediately, a wry half smile kind of comes over his quiet face, and he says, Professor Buffin, correct?
Yes, hello, JD. How are you doing?
Wonderful to see you. It's been quite a while, but I'm happy to have you back. Hello? And he sort of does a casual wave to Martha, who sort of sits a little bit back. And, there's a sort of a moment realization as he looks between the three of you, and he just says, are you all here together?
We are, yes. Izzy's
Yes.
picked up a book from the top of a pile and she's like turning it over, just kind of callously, like blows the dust off the cover and sort of scrubs it and like, puts it back.
And he's just kind of like, yes. Just a little bit nervous, you know. It's like there's like dust cracking off the back cover.
Professor?
Yeah, Lester will walk up and be like, JD, I don't... Have you ever seen a book like this? And when I show it to you, do I need to change the sign to closed? And he'll like plonk the book on the table in front of him.
Yeah, he immediately sort of, his face, the color drains from his face slightly.
Yeah, he'll be like,
but
I'll be right back. And he'll go and like walk to the door and like flip the sign to closed.
And you know, he's kind of like, all right, this is my book. This is one that I carry, but it was taken. I appreciate you finding it and bringing it back. He's hesitant. You know, it's not like he's taking it out of your hands right away. He doesn't. He's not worried about the demeanor in which you presented this book at, but he sort of, you see that color that is drained from his face is part sort of, you know, realization, part relaxation. Like, oh.
So you said the book was taken?
Yes. Well, yes, it was taken. And you can tell, again, there's a bit of...
Yeah. What is the nature of this book? I couldn't quite get a handle on the language it's written in.
It is written in a very ancient and powerful dialect. And again, he sort of looks towards Martha specifically, maybe this time, and lingers.
Absolutely. The whole time things got like awkward and clandestine, I imagine he like glanced in the direction of the old lady who's inexplicably here, and she just like met his stare dead on, like, flip the sign, do it, like we're talking right now for real, like just staring, just absolutely like not breaking gaze. As he starts to talk about ancient and powerful dialects, she'd be nodding along and just say, continue, almost like she wants to hear more, and it's clear that she does. But I would love to make an occult check to see how much I understand of what it is he's saying, maybe?
Absolutely, yeah, give me your roll.
Absolutely. Ooh, I got a 12.
Nice.
And my occult skill is 40, so that's a difficult success.
Very good, yeah. So he sort of, you know, he tries to dumb it down. He doesn't speak ad nauseum about it off the top. He sort of just says, this book is a very... Do you believe in otherworldly powers? He says with a bit of hesitancy.
Damn well starting to.
I always have, but it's changed now.
For myself, I was always a superstitious sort. I never saw any evidence of anything until, well, just recently.
Look, whether you want to believe it or not, there are books that exist in this world that aren't exactly... They're connecting pieces that bring otherworldly forces or spirits from places beyond this realm into ours. They act as gateways at times. Sometimes they provide incantations in certain ancient languages that will allow people to have abilities beyond what you and I might be able to comprehend. Now, I understand how silly this all must sound, being spelt out this way. And whether or not you choose to believe them, the powers that are held within this book, the passages that exist, they are dangerous. And it's for that reason I typically keep it locked in my back room. Of course, I noticed it missing.
Did you know of anyone to have a copy of the key?
No.
And was the room broken into?
I'm embarrassed to say that I I don't keep the key especially well hidden. I have a number of students that help out occasionally. I'm renting a room upstairs to one right now, in fact. I fear that this might have fallen into the hands of a student, and I'm happy to say, Professor, that perhaps you found out who.
You said you're renting to a student who lives upstairs?
Yes, Eddie Horton. Quiet boy, keeps to himself mainly. He helps out occasionally.
Yeah, about that. That's where we found the book, and he'll open up to the dog-eared section of the book that has the symbol that we found in the morgue as well. And it was on this page we've seen that symbol before, tonight actually, and followed its trail back to Eddie's apartment, which I don't think he's going to be renting from you anymore, I'm sorry to say.
I don't understand what you're saying. Sorry, this book was found in Eddie's apartment. That's not like him. I mean, don't get me wrong, I went up to check on him after it went missing, but he was not home.
When did you go up to check on him?
A few hours ago, I suppose. Maybe 4 or 5 hours. He sort of looks aimlessly to the back, sort of giving the impression that he's lost a bit of his time, maybe reading.
And you knew he wasn't home. You confirmed that.
As much as anyone can confirm, I suppose. I knocked on the door. I called out to him.
The door was ajar when we went up there, right? So
Yeah.
he would have seen that.
You didn't hear anything earlier, even quite recently? Like a scuffle?
Oh, I tend to read in the back because the sound is muffled. Huh? That's why I have the bell ring so especially loud. I don't know if you noticed. And he sort of rings it again, and this like... You now realize that the sort of sharp, piercing tone of the bell wasn't loud because it was quiet. It's loud just because it's loud, you know. But the fact that you had entered from the rain and hadn't said anything, it sort of made it seem louder. What do you mean, Eddie is... What do you mean?
Oh, he's getting cold up there.
It was a violent scene.
I'm afraid Eddie's not with us anymore.
You're saying that Eddie's dead?
Yes.
Well, did you call anyone?
Not yet. We came down here first.
And suddenly this understanding washes over his face. And he looks at the three of you now with a different understanding. The connections drawn between the three of you. You know, this is a sharper mind. And there's sort of this look as he nods, specifically towards you, Martha. And he says, I understand. Right. And you said a part of this book was used tonight.
We believe so.
Show me which part.
So it'll be on the... He'll open it again. He'll point to the symbol on the page that's opened. We found that symbol in a morgue, drawn around a tablet that a body would have been on, and there wasn't a body on it anymore.
Professor Boffin, I'm wondering if you can make sure the front door is locked. And
On it.
in the back. And he sort of motions for the other two to follow him around the back. And as you come around the corner of this desk and through a sort of a tight, almost a half door, you see that the back is just incomparable to the front in terms of the crowdedness. You almost have to go sideways between stacks of books, you know, your clothes sort of dragging across the half covers. And
Is these like helping Mother Martha get through a particularly
She's
tight
going
spot?
nice and slow. No
Yep.
rush, no rush.
Yeah, and as you do, you can feel the heartbeat in your ears as you sort of move into the back of this bookstore. The smell now more damp than anything and overwhelming.
Could I ask, was there windows in the front of the shop? Obviously,
Yes.
I imagine not back here. I would have just glanced out the window real quick, just still a tingle going down the back of my neck. Like, is there anything
a
standing
corpse.
out there?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
just look out there and then go into the back.
Yeah.
Something watching.
No, you look out, and you don't see anything through the pouring rain.
That scared me.
Everything's
Don't
fine, I
ask those
guess,
fucking
then.
questions.
It's just like, I would have definitely done that. Like, I'm feeling like, oh, okay, we'll go in the back as long as something's not out front. And then she goes.
Absolutely. And as you sort of come around this corner, you see an oddly neat little desk set up. You know, it's almost tucked against another stack of books. There's a small lamp and just open tomes of every which way, you know, sizes laid upon other things, but with a delicacy unlike at the front, where the casual reader might stroll in. It's very clear that J.D. Ackerman is somebody who is much more proper with the books, and he takes the book and lays it upon his desk carefully and looks towards you, Martha, and this is sort of where your occult role will come in because it was such a success, and almost guiding you over his shoulder, he says, this symbol, this is, for lack of a better word, a form of resurrection. But I want to stress a form of resurrection. See, incantations like this, and again he sort of looks towards you, Izzy, whether we believe them or not. Not that you don't, but you know he wants to cover all his bases in the deniers.
She's definitely given the vibe she believes in all of this now at this point. Maybe even did a little research on her own way back when. Yeah.
And she says, or he says, they don't exactly bring the spirit back to the body that it came from. It's sort of a shared truth that while the flesh may stand and walk, and a piece of that person's memory, something that defined them truly, may come back, so much depends on the state in which the person perished. Do you know anything about who young Eddie may have used this incantation on?
It's a steep price to be paid. Leanne.
Take the sheet with us.
Yeah, probably, right?
Yeah, fuck it, we take it. We're thieves now.
Absolutely. I would have definitely, taken the autopsy report. And I just say
Izzy's-
Leanne and pass it over. Yeah.
Izzy's got kind of like a quizzical look on her face. It's clear that this is kind of going over her head a little bit, and she's like, I'm sorry. Plain language? What's happening here?
Your friend Eddie seemed to try to resurrect someone. This Leanne, is it says?
Yeah.
It is not so much as someone coming back from the dead. As a piece of them does, of course. That is the intention, but it is another spirit that comes in to the soul in order to give it its full life. Think of it like this. If I were to spill out half a glass of water and then fill it up with something else to create a full glass, this is what comes back truly. Yes, there is an element of the original water, but if I filled it up with whiskey or orange juice, it will become diluted. And the nature of what type of spirit might come into this body is very much in tune with what is seeking.
Oh.
So, and this is why I stress, under what circumstances did this Leanne perish?
I believe suicide due to emotional turmoil.
What kind of... emotional turmoil. This is a very, very grey area. This is very important. These, and he sort of stands up for a second, almost in a huff, not frustrated at you, but sort of realizing that things like this, you know, can happen when power lay in the wrong hands. And he sort of walks over to like, you know, a chalkboard almost, you know, and he like turns it, and he like draws a big circle, and he's like, look, all of this, okay, this is every spirit and thing, and he like dots it frantically. That might exist beyond that pale, whatever you want to call it, this otherworldly. And he looks towards you, Izzy, and he says, things that exist that we can't see. When you read from a book like this. You are summoning one of these. And they don't come willy-nilly. They come to very specific vibrations, to very specific corpses. And he points to, like, the autopsy report that Martha is still holding. So the circumstances in which this young lady perished will very much draw the ire of one of these spirits. And the better you can decipher exactly under what circumstances her soul was in when she perished will better illustrate exactly what we're dealing with.
Well, we've come to find out from a letter that this young woman gave birth. We don't know how recently ago, but that the child was taken away from her by her father and brought somewhere unknown, and that the father of the child, Eddie, your student from upstairs, well, he perished as well. So the parents of this child were unable to be together, and this led to Leanne's demise.
And, you know, this sort of processing look comes over his face. He's trying to understand the elements. That's a very specific form of emotional turmoil. And it would draw a very specific type of energy. All creatures, all these that exist, they have the very same similar tendencies. And as unfortunate as it is, I'm sure Leanne is not the first person to have perished under such circumstances, which means that it is very possible. A very angry, very vile creature seeking the same level of torment may be within Leanne.
I feel like we all share a very pointed glance with each other. Like an oh fuck.
Martha, could you hand me the book?
Martha's been struck silent by this. This kind of in a weird way does mesh with what her expectations of like the supernatural and ghosts, like emotionally driven and like by this kind of grief and torment. She just hands it over.
And he again sort of takes you predominantly. You know, he's sharing a lot of this occult knowledge specifically with you. And for the next part, he sort of like asks you, can you understand any of this? I can translate a fair amount, but unfortunately, I have a difficult time with all of it, and if we are to truly find out exactly what has happened, I might need your help. And why don't you give me a roll with advantage? Because your occult roll was so successful. We can call it a language roll if you'd like, or education if you think that would be more appropriate.
And do we, this is in a language we don't clearly understand the nature of what it is we're translating?
Correct. But, you know, all languages coming from dead languages, and you know, there's sort of like a ancient Sumerian vibe to it, and there's sort of like similar words that you can decipher.
Absolutely. I got a 64. My education's like 85, but it's not a particularly good roll. Yeah.
That's okay. I mean, that will succeed. If your education was 85, then yeah, for sure.
I'm helping a little bit.
And the occult roll was so good.
Well, that's it. This is really a carryover from the occult. And as you sort of help describe this, you know, the two of you sort of pore over these pages for a little while, as, you know, Izzy and the professor sort of walk around the store, maybe glancing out front every once in a while.
Izzy's just messing with shit.
Izzy's just messing with shit.
Knock over his stack.
Scribbling in books. Books are for nerds. That's the ghost leaving the book.
Punch the ghost.
You do come across this element of this repeating word, and after a while you sort of come to the understanding that it's child, children, and different variations of it, to the point where there's a passage that you and JD sort of pore over, and as you sort of translate each word, you come with a word, sort of this summation of what this spirit may manifest as, and it says vastress. And he sort of holds down, you know, as the two of you come to vastress. And he sort of steps back and he says, I know this word, vastris. I've heard it before. And he walks over to another stack and he pulls out sort of a big heavy book and throws it down. And it's almost like a tome, like an encyclopedia of sorts. And he starts flipping through and it looks like it might be Nordic almost. And as he gets about halfway through, he comes to this page and you see a similar sort of connotation and this a similar title almost. Vastris. Yes. This is a spirit that who left this world longing for a child. If this truly is what Leanne has become, she will stop at nothing to get her child back. She will stop at nothing. And he says with a serious tone that sends a chill up your spine, and you see, sweat forming on his brow as he wipes it away. You need to find out everything you can about that child. If she has any reason to think that anyone is keeping her from it, she will kill them.
Anyone she thinks is in her way.
Yes.
All right. Anything in that book? Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. What happens if she succeeds and finds the child?
I don't know. I need to continue reading. He sort of gestures to like the full page of text that's not yet translated, but I can try to figure it out and let you know. I don't know exactly, but there might even be a way to help in this text. I don't know.
Martha looks up at Izzy. The father was the one who had Eli.
Yeah.
That's where she'll go next, is to Eli.
Is there anything in that book about how to stop it? Some weakness, some soft spot?
I don't know. I would need at least an hour. Maybe less. I don't know. Yeah. And he reaches over and he sort of scribbles down a piece of paper and he hands you. And he says, that's my number. I can stay by the phone if you want to call me. It's 8. I used to be 6, but now I'm 8 because there's 2 more people on the block. And he says, look, just give me some time and I'll do what I can do. And I can help you as much as I can. And
From our knowledge of no Google Maps, do we know if 115 Birchcliff Crescent is close-ish to where we are?
So there's
if
no
we hop in
Google
the
Maps,
perambulator?
But because this is 1920, there is MapQuest. It's on AOL. You need a key to log in. And
Makes a loud noise when you log in.
Yeah. I saw someone
Simpatico.
playing that for their kid the other day. And the kid was like 13. They had no idea what that sound was. And I just realized, yeah, there's literally generations just no idea what that is.
Where dial-up didn't exist.
Yeah. You know roughly where it is. I mean, more or less you guys have experience in this town. I think especially the professor being sort of Miskatonic Rat and Izzy. Martha maybe a little less. Could see her being the vibe where she's like, well, take me where I need to go at certain times.
Absolutely, yeah.
Not in a dick way, just kind of like, oh.
She knows her neighborhood, but beyond that.
And then Ackerman sort of says, with a bit of hesitancy, and you can tell he struggles to say it, but he says, but I do think it's best that you leave. And I will tell the police that I found the body. But try to only ring me. I can't allow Eddie's corpse to stay up there. For a plethora of reasons. And you can tell that, he would love to either be with you or love for you to hang around, but there's this impetus of like, oh wait, there's a dead body upstairs in the room, and if I don't call the cops, I'm screwed.
And also another dead body walking around up to who knows what.
Yeah.
Yeah, shenanigans. Shall we?
Nanners.
Call me, and I'll see what I can figure out.
8, you said it was?
Well, it's 8, but if you're calling from if you go to the switchboard, I'm 6. And if Martha's there, you tell you're Martha. If
need to
Sally
find a
is there,
phone.
you too. You tell Sally that old J.D. Ackerman. No.
You told us earlier that there were some footprints, bloody footprints, leading out into the night.
Yes.
Are they still discernible as we go out? I know you said it was raining. I don't know if they've been washed away.
I think it'd be pretty difficult now, unfortunately.
Okay.
But, you know.
Did we get the impression that they were heading kind of in the direction of Dad's house?
Difficult to know.
Okay.
Unfortunately. I mean, you could give me a roll if you want to sort of try to piece it together, but, you know, you need a bit of a city map situation. Either way.
You know what? I've got a pretty good navigate. I'm going to roll on it.
Yeah, go for it.
I was just going to say, if anyone has that skill, it's definitely...
It's going to be the boxer.
All right, listen. My navigate's 40. I rolled 41. So I'm going to use a luck point.
Yes.
Now's the time, yeah.
So I got 51.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get the very strong impression that is exactly where it is heading.
Ooh, okay. So maybe she was headed to Dad's place next.
Triangulating it on the child.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So, and again, Ackerman sort of stresses just before you leave, and he just says, "This Vastris is not an unintelligent creature of malice. It is not an animal. She can think, she can read, she can do most of what Leanne could do in her life, but she is motivated by the overwhelming urge, more so than food or drink or anything of that nature that you and I would call necessary. She's motivated by the overwhelming urge to find her child."
I worry this motive seems to have driven her to attack Eddie. Do we know why?
Is there any reason that she would be upset with Eddie?
Well, in his letter, he expressed wanting to be with her, and maybe, I don't know, if he said, well, let's not go find Eli right away.
He took his father's side.
Maybe Vastris, took that as, well, no, I'm gonna. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, went through him as opposed to, just I don't know.
Something for us to keep in mind.
Yeah.
It's very possible. But yes, whatever you do it quick. And keep it quiet. Keep it safe. Keep it secret. God, I want to watch Lord of the Rings.
Let's do it. Let's pause the stream.
Just
Hell
pause.
Yeah.
Let's watch Lord of the Rings.
Real quick.
And come back.
We'll just spend a quick 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Per movie.
Mm-hmm.
But then 3 hours and 15 minutes talking about it after.
Yeah.
Scene by
That's the
scene.
important part.
Oh, God, I love Lord of the Rings.
So.
What are we doing again? Yeah,
you guys have watched all of the commentary, right?
Of course.
It's so good. All right.
Had Tolkien even written them at this point? I heard there's a new young hotshot author over in Britain. J.R.
I just got this copy.
Fantasy.
It's called The Fellowship of the Rings. It's bullshit. Nothing compared to Frank L. Baum. I don't know.
And his first book, The Hobbit, I really liked that one.
The Hobbit was first, right? Yeah, that's right. Anyway.
He's really going places.
Lord of the Rings
Tolkien
out of his ass
guy.
after he wrote Lord of the Rings, after he wrote The Hobbit.
The Smilmarillion.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let's go. Let's get in
let's go.
Lester's car.
Let's get in the perambulator.
You can always hope the car will get us there ahead of her, but as Martha says that, she doesn't think it's like...
It does take 20 minutes to start.
You get up front, crank it.
Izzy's pushing in the back just to make
Martha's not helping at all.
No, sitting in the front seat.
So there's an interesting thing with this. You guys have spent a fair amount of time, but not that much time. Why don't we do a collective luck roll? Let's
Okay.
Because there's 3, I think we could do majority rules type scenario here in terms of timing.
I got a 35, and my luck is still 50. I haven't used any of my luck yet.
Okay, 1 success.
I have a very quick question, because I did mess this up last time. I get a 1, that's a 1. If I get another 1, is that another 1, or is that a 10?
It's 11, regardless.
Okay, I get you.
Regardless, it's 11.
But one of your D10s should have like a 4 and a 0, right? So that would be like if you have a 1 0 and a 1, it would be 11.
Die next to me so I can show you. So like you have.
I think I have it.
Yeah.
Yes, I have
that's
those.
19. Okay.
Gotcha. I got a 65, and my luck is.
Oh fuck! I thought you were saying you got 11.
I wish.
Your luck is what?
Sorry, my luck is 51.
Yeah. No. Oh well.
Yeah, I failed too.
You pull up in front of 115 Birchcliff Crescent. And by the time you arrive, snow has begun to fall.
Oh.
Still and silent, but in thick white flakes. And as you roll to a stop, you see that the front door is open.
Oh, snap.
No! Before we go in, can we see the front window into what we would presume to be an office? Because Eddie mentioned he was able to look in that front window, and is there anything in it that we can see
Listen to Gary.
from outside?
Gary, fuck you. I love it. Yeah, you can see it. Great, good memory.
You're a dick.
Now the office blows up.
No, absolutely, Gary. Great memory. In fact, I want to give you inspiration, which is what we're calling it. I don't remember what it's called in Call of Cthulhu.
Advantage.
I think it was called a bonus die or an advantage die. Yeah.
I'm going to give you a bonus. But you know what? I like the term inspiration.
Samesies.
It's inspired. So you know what? We're just going to use inspiration.
I feel inspired. Look, there at the
I want to
window.
give you inspiration for remembering that and for thinking ahead in terms of that. And I was joking about the fuck you, by the way. You know I did. So yeah, you are rolling up. You can see that there is a front window, and you can see that there's light inside. Obviously, you're sort of across the road, or at least next to the sidewalk, so you'll have to get out and sort of go up. Are you just going to sneak up? Are you running up?
Are there bloody footprints in the snow?
Good question. Why don't you give me like a tracking, whatever comparable that would be?
I mean, spot hidden is.
Yeah, give me a spin.
Oh,
Spid.
And the door is open.
Door's wide open.
Nah, I'm doing bad tonight.
No spin?
Nope.
Martha?
I will take a look as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
I got an 80. I think I will use my inspiration on this.
Nice.
Probably. So here we go.
Wait.
20.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay, yeah. Martha, you walk out.
That's
you
a difficult
Izzy.
success, just barely.
Yeah, Izzy's sort of like trudging around in the snow a little bit, and you're kind of like.
I got my shoes wet. I'm kind of bummed.
But you do notice, Martha, you said it was a hard success, right?
It was a difficult success, yeah.
So not only do you
right,
see a set of bloody footprints leading to, you also see a much fainter set leading from. And you see these footprints are sort of leading almost straight off across the road. And there's a moment, this is a very quiet street, I have to say. These are all sort of, they're like townhomes. And this is the northern strip of Arkham. It's a simple brown brick facade that faces the street. The moonlight barely making through the thick flakes as they fall. And again, the street is eerily quiet. And you follow these footprints as they cross the road. And
I'm following them, but pointing them out to the others. But they see me kind of just walking off, following them. Yeah.
We'll go with her.
And there's sort of this quiet moment as you see Martha walking, the click of her shoes across this street, dead silent. And on one side, it's all brownstones, but the other side, it's all this forest. It's just this sort of black, darkened forest between the tall, gray-looking trees in the snow. And as you walk over, you stand on the far side, your feet planted in the grass, looking out towards this wood. The foot trail leading right between your legs and off into the direction. And for a second, you just stare into the woods, unmoving. The flakes falling before your eyes, and you squint to try to see movement far within. And all of a sudden, this feeling of being watched just washes over you as you stand there staring. And then suddenly looking back, you feel as if you're a world apart. You know, Izzy and the professor are standing on the other side of the road. It feels so far away.
I'm like, how did I get all alone here? Why am I all alone?
What is it called?
Oh, no.
Where the camera in a horror movie,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah. I definitely picture like a long shot where it's like, you know, Martha's been walking for like 10 steps, but suddenly the shot is like, it just feels so far away and you feel so alone, even though you're like, you know, 10 steps away.
Martha's like, this is just an artistic shot, right? She sees the but this is just an artistic shot, right? Why do I feel so scared?
And then you run, it's like, and the camera just keeps moving farther away. Yeah, no, it's great. It's great.
cool.
Martha starts actually like shaking, and she's trying to tell herself it's from the cold, but she keeps looking around. She's actually physically afraid to turn her head too much. She is afraid she's going to see something in the peripherals that will very much upset her.
Yeah. And
Yeah, Lester will walk up to her.
Yeah, I think maybe you like feel that hand on your shoulder.
You okay there, Martha? What do your elf eyes see?
Do you feel it? Do you feel them watching? Do you feel it? I think she's watching us. And you can see her clutching her rosary beads inside her cloak.
Yeah, Lester look around to try and see anything, to see if he can.
Yeah, give me a roll.
Oh, so my spot hidden is 45, and I got 36.
I think you take a half step towards the edge of the wood. At this point, you know, Martha maybe is still holding onto your shoulder or maybe clutching your arm a little bit and her rosary in the other hand. And, you know, Lester, you sort of have this moment of okay, you know, this is what it is. We'll handle this. And you take a step. The crunch of snow soft beneath your feet, again, so loud in the silent street. And you stare for a second into the woods. And you see it, the movement, ever so slightly at first. It sort of dives up from below. And for a second, you take a half step back, your breath leaving your mouth, and then you see the deer just hop off and sort of go farther into the woods. You swallow hard. And Izzy's just like...
Izzy is actually, she's trampling the front garden.
Just getting rid of all the footprints.
She's looking in the window with her hands cupped on either side of her face because you said it's bright inside, so she wants to see what's going on, and she's just destroying the flower bed.
Yeah, it's great. Do you want? So give me a spot hidden if you're looking inside.
Sure. Oh, that'll do it. Yeah, not great, but I passed.
Okay.
54.
Yeah, you see the letter. You see the office, and you see that there is a
letter
drawer there that would have been appropriate in Eddie's letter to determine where it would be. Sort of, you know, plays well in your mind. You're like, okay, that's the spot.
Yeah.
You know.
And nothing else of any.
Not in the office. You do see that there's a bit of like a flickering light coming from the cracked door in this office, and it's leading to the front hall. But again, you haven't looked in the front door yet, so you can't quite see.
Yeah, so I move up to the front step and I go, psst, come on. What are you guys doing over there?
There was a deer. There was a deer.
We have to investigate this house, guys.
Yeah. Okay.
Just a deer.
There's a take where Lester's like, there was a deer. like Buster trying to get a bird, but it walked on my pillow. The rest of all. Guys, there was a deer. Yeah, and you enter through the front door?
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm still clutching Lester's arm the whole time after the deer now.
Yeah. I think he's clutching yours too, and
absolutely.
I don't know who's the protector here, but either way, this is safe.
Hopefully, any other noise would just be a deer.
Yeah, I don't want to
Just
see
like
deer in the
7
house,
deer
though.
in the house, just like
if it's
flopping
all
around.
deers, I'll call it a
Deer.
good day, basically.
Deer all the,
The
time.
spirit of a deer went
you
into
look
the
back,
corpse.
There's a deer in the backseat of your car looking at you.
Can't fool me, it's deers all the way down. I know what's going on here, really.
Deer, the RPG, Call of Cthulhu.
I'm writing
Deer.
it. I'm writing it.
No, dibs. We'll co-write it.
All right.
Just called Deer. That's it. It's about War of the Deer. Anyway, you enter.
Don't give it away.
You enter the front door, which is at this point now laying in shatters on the floor. It has fallen down, and you see deep grooves within the center, as if something with tremendous force has torn it in two. In the front hall, you see a small standing desk, 2 doors that lead to the right. One, you know, to the office. One looks to be maybe a kitchen. There's a small set of stairs that head up and turn, and then across from the small desk here, you see the body of a man lying against the wall, his stomach bleeding profusely. He holds it tightly, and with a weak breath says, "Help."
Oh crap!
Run over
play
and
with deer and hear some guy dying.
I was about to go add one to the tally, but no, no tally. I mean, Izzy runs over. She's gonna put her hands on the wound.
Yeah, you can see he's like seconds away from passing out from blood loss.
Oh crumbs!
This is a quick action. Everyone can do one action in this moment.
Tim, you are muted.
Martha is
Thank you so much. Sorry.
like,
I was luckily not doing anything important. I was staying at the doorway, just trying not to swoon. That's literally all Martha would be doing and gasping.
everything you do is important, and that's brilliant. Yeah, you stand there sort of just stabilizing yourself.
Izzy runs to the man and says, "What happened?"
That's what you ask him. Okay, and what do you do, Lester?
After Izzy asks her question, he'll just kind of run, "Eli, where is Eli?"
Okay. So you all sort of act at the same time. You know, Martha, you can't bring yourself to enter the room, unfortunately. You sort of just stand there in the doorway. He looks towards you as you approach, and you asked him what happened?
He said, "Where's Eli?"
Yeah, but Izzy asked first, and I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, Izzy asks. She runs forward and says, "What happened?"
And he says, you know, his face white almost, just from the blood loss. He says, She came back, and she wanted to know where I sent him."
And then she sort of wipes his face and holds his wound, and then turns as the professor.
Yeah, and the professor, you asked where Eli was, and with his dying breath, he just says, Longdale. And he dies. Because none of you did a medicine check or tried to help him, which I thought was a weird choice.
Oh, no.
But you got to get that information first. I appreciate it. You guys are like straight. You're like, no, get the answers first, then we'll. But you know what? That's smart, because who knows? What if you had wasted your turn on doing a medicine and it didn't work? Then you wouldn't have gotten your answer. So
I only have a medicine of 1%.
I have no
and
medicine.
well, you know what? Then it was worthless. Good job, everybody. And
mean-
as he falls over and you see like the fully stocked medicine kit right next to him, you're like,
It was an HP pack. Oh, damn. You should have just touched
help
it.
back
You would have
over
been
here.
fine.
Yeah, it's like a stim.
Used for instant life.
Green herb.
I'm not saying this was where Martha's head was at, but he didn't seem like that great a guy based on the letters. So I'm not
That's
feeling
fair.
too
True
bad.
that, true
That's
that.
subconscious to
Just
Martha.
like, die, asshole.
What you need is that Resident Evil 8 stuff where it's like just like pour the juice on your hand and you're like fine. Remember that?
Doesn't he just reattach his whole
He like
ass
reattaches
hand?
his hand and like pours juice on it or whatever. The game was
fine.
good.
That's true to life.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, you're standing in the front hall of. Now you can tally it up, Izzy.
Oh. I can do what?
I'm joking. You said Tally.
Oh yeah.
He's dead. I'm not playing anybody right now. I'm just me.
Before he died, he said Longdale. Longdale was where he said.
Longdale.
Sound like
The sun. So sounds like another town, maybe.
Izzy isn't quite sure what to do with herself. I think she stands up really abruptly and just starts, like, her hands are bloody. She kind of like scrubs them on her trousers and then says, I think I'm going to be sick. And she runs to where she presumes the kitchen might be.
yeah.
And
Martha steps out of the way to let her past.
yeah, she's just having a little session in there where she's washing her hands and hyperventilating for a minute.
Yeah, you burst into the kitchen, and immediately, it is a sad sight. You see this simple-looking family that must have once existed here. You see pictures that Leanne must have done at one point. Small drawings of a 14-year-old, and through the pictures on the walls of the kitchen, you see a tale that must have been their eventual falling out. You see a young girl happy with her dad, no sign of a mother or a partner, and you see as she grows older, there's distance between them in the photos, and eventually there's sort of just like a work photo of the father on the wall.
That's so sad.
And no, you didn't roll sanity. I apologize. Can everyone give me a sanity roll?
Teacher.
Oops. Forgot to give us homework.
No, it's great.
Ooh, good.
I get so
6.
caught up in the moment, I always forget. I'm like, oh yeah, right. Do that.
Hanging in
Fail.
there, an 8 out of 38.
That's a 73.
Nice. 73. Oh no. So that's a fail. So you're going to take 1d8. And Tim, was that a hard success?
That was I guess it would be a hard success, yeah. I don't think it's quite an extreme success, though, no.
Then you're going to take a d4.
D4, okay.
Yeah, because you sort of like, bolstered yourself. You sort of hung back. You didn't get right into it. You had this moment of respite. What did you get, Joe?
8 damage.
No.
I got max also.
Which fits. You're in the kitchen freaking out, washing this blood.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem to come off. Lester.
Got a 6 out of 53.
Wonderful. So you take is that an extreme? Yeah, it's an extreme.
I imagine so.
Perfect.
I don't
know. Yeah, so you're just going to take a D2. So either 1 or 2 points. Just flip a coin. Or however you want to do it.
It's going to be 2.
Yeah, and Izzy, as you sort of sit back from the sink and finish washing your hands, you rejoin the others. Martha, what are you doing looking at this body?
Martha was, I feel now canonically, shocked by this body with 4 points of sanity. She was kind of looking to originally just confirm that there was a family resemblance to Eddie, that this did seem to be his father. She would be maybe looking around the office here for anything that looked out of place, that she'll try to find out more about Longdale, but I feel like one spot hidden check around here would be her first instinct.
Sure. Just to clarify, so this is the father of Leanne. So
that's okay, got it. Right. He was being kept away, so it's Leanne's father. And they seem to that's why they had no relationship.
No, but absolutely. So you want to do a look over here or straight to the office?
I was going to look around. I guess she would have known from the letter to be curious about the office. So I think she would be not worrying about the body at this point. She would head over to the office to take a look around where something might be.
Perfect. Yeah. You open the office door, which is slightly ajar. And again, you see a fairly simple sight, a small office with a chair, a roll, like a rolling covered desk, a small couch, and a radio. And as you walk over to the desk drawer, you try to give it a pull, and you notice that it's locked.
And from the letter, we knew there was something important that he keeps. I've got a look drawer here. I'm going to kind of look to Izzy as I say that out loud. Got a locked drawer.
Izzy comes out of the kitchen and she's found a tea towel that she's like drying her hands with. And she studiously avoids looking at the body in the front hall. She steps around it. Sorry about that. A locked drawer. Okay. Can I try to open it?
Sure. Before we do that, Lester, is there anything you're doing?
If Lester heard that what Martha said, he will not with any great amount of zeal, but will give the body a quick check to see if he can find a key of some sort.
Why don't you give me a spot hidden?
It's in his butt.
It's in his bottom. I
Key.
failed, but I'll use my inspiration.
Yeah.
So I just re-roll, yeah?
Yeah. So you roll so you keep the second integer and you re-roll the percentile die, I guess.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But I mean, it's more.
I'll re-roll. Oh, okay. Nope. We failed both times.
Yeah, so you look over the body and, he's wearing pretty plain clothes, blood stained. He seems to have, a few, like a watch and a necklace, and beyond that, you don't notice much on him. So, Izzy, you are standing next to Martha in front of this desk.
Yeah. So this is like a conventional old style writing desk that has like
The roll top, yeah.
fairly sturdily built, I'm sure, being that this is like decent furniture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna bash it.
Just punch through it.
I'm gonna punch it.
Yeah, give me a roll.
I'm good at punching.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that
roll
is-
a fighting brawl.
It's like Martha didn't ask you explicitly to do that, but as you like deliver the punch, you're like, that'll do it there. That's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's just a regular success though.
Yeah, you punch through the top of the roll top desk.
Yes.
Splinters
You
goes
are
everywhere.
incredibly strong.
Yes.
It doesn't like open though, right? So you're still like you're just like searching through a hole of a roll.
Yeah, I'm
top
like
desk.
pulling like the
Shards
mini
of it.
planks
Sure.
away.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, we'll give it to you. I mean, it's in the drawer at the front technically, because they have roll tops have like the roll top, and then the roll top is just the desk part. But there's a drawer. But you know what?
I'm gonna dismantle this thing piece by piece.
Either
There
way,
is no desk now.
Yeah, I've dropped it. There is a note in the desk. Why don't you read that for us, Izzy? I dropped it
Sorry,
into the
someone just
handouts.
put a really good GIF into the
Yeah,
Discord.
that's good.
All right, here we go. Note in desk. The Longdale House, 15 St. Exupéry Lane, Chesuncook, Massachusetts. Dear Mr. Paddock, this letter is being sent to ensure you of Eli Paddock's safe arrival at our orphanage. We greatly appreciate the care and time you took in researching our home, and know that Eli will find friendship, love, and care within our humble walls. As is custom in rare cases such as yours, we urge you to remind your daughter that her child is being cared for and loved as if it were in her own arms. Wishing you and your family the best, God bless, Headmistress. She relinquishes the letter to Mother Martha.
Oh, this isn't good. This is not good. And she noted the footsteps that had and explains and makes sure that Eliza is also Izzy, is also aware. She's going to be heading here now.
To the orphanage.
Oh no. It's obvious. As soon as the orphanage became the next destination, Mother Martha is much more upset now. Orders of magnitude much more upset about the implications of this.
Can I just do a quick spot hidden in the room to see if there's anything else that we haven't seen yet?
Absolutely.
No.
All right.
I look around.
You
and
bump into a wall. Boom.
I hurt my whole body doing it.
Yeah, no, you don't see anything.
Seeing Izzy do that, Mother Martha would also look around the room, make sure we're not missing anything here.
I really want you to fail so that you can bump into the wall
I
too.
thought you meant
Just to be cool.
seeing Izzy bump into a wall with her whole body.
I mean, yeah, see, I have a little
then
trouble with it. Oh,
she wants
don't
to try
worry.
it too.
All right, dear. 27 out of 40, so regular success.
Nice.
Crushing it.
Yeah. So you take a look around the office. There doesn't seem to be too much in here.
I'm just making sure no other clues we forgot.
Yeah, I'm just reading my... Yeah, no, I don't think there's anything else really of note in here. You take a look through the shattered roll top, trying to find anything of substance.
I'm
but
sorry.
nothing jumps
I
out.
imagine Martha actually sticking her head in, looking around it.
Nice. No one's going to use this, are they? I should take this.
I mean, there will be an
Sure,
estate
actually,
You guys are
sale.
like
Yes.
getting the desk in the back of the van while you're like, hold on, let's just not leave.
Yeah,
it.
let's loot. Is there anything good around
My
here?
orphanage is going to love this.
Lester, what are you doing?
Rival orphanage.
Seeing that there's nothing in the immediate vicinity, he will just say like, I think maybe like because
There is. I want to clarify. There were 2 doors to the left, one to the office and one to the kitchen, and there's an upstairs.
Do we want
You
to?
don't have to. I just wanted to make sure that got across.
I don't think Lester'd go upstairs.
Are there any photos of the boy? I know that photography was relatively new, but I'm curious if we have any sort of evidence of what this baby might look like.
None that you can see. No.
All right.
We could try
Not
and
in the
find
office.
Leanne's room. Maybe there'll be a picture in there.
We could also see potentially the scene of her suicide.
Yeah, we could.
I'm not sure if there's anything we could necessarily glean there, but it could be interesting. I mean, a suicide note?
Yeah,
We kind
or
of know what
maybe-
happened, though. Or we presume we did.
All right,
I'm all for going to the orphanage, but what do you guys want to do?
It would be helpful to know what the boy looks like. I think you're right.
If we're going to look, we'll
Scour
look
the
quickly.
house for pictures.
Let's all hold hands and go upstairs together.
Perfect.
Agreed.
You head up to the second story slowly, and as you reach the top, you see the small hallway. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. The bathroom to your immediate right. Sorry, 3 bedrooms. There's the bathroom, and I guess you sort of do a tour, right? You walking through. Yeah, so you move down the hallway quietly. The house is still and silent. You swear you can almost hear the snow falling on the roof, dampening the sound as you walk, making it all feel more insular and quiet. And as you reach the end of the hall, you realize that there are 3 rooms: the father's bedroom, what must have been Leanne's bedroom, and a 3rd bedroom that's filled with vacant boxes of a boxed up nursery. It seems to be this is where the baby was intended to be. Do you check out any of these rooms? Oh, and in the hallway there's a telephone.
Oh yeah.
We gotta call 8.
Yeah.
We'll
That's
make
what
the-
Lester will. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, perfect. If you're making the call, I'll just kind of look around at whatever room Izzy does not.
Yeah, I'll make the call then.
Cool. Izzy, what room are you going to go into?
I'm gonna go into the father's room.
Perfect.
I'll take the nursery then,
Okay.
or former nursery.
Yeah, the former nursery. You take a quick look around the nursery, Martha, and you realize that most of this is, like I said, boxed up. But in the corner, there does seem to be an empty, vacant crib with a teddy bear in it. And a note from Leanne, presumably pinned to it, that says, "To my darling Eli."
Oh,
I take the bear and I just put it in my robes next to the rosary beads.
see, we are looting.
Be worth a pretty penny.
Helpful looting.
Hefts the teddy bear.
You just see me
thoughtfully.
rub my hands. Yes, free teddy bear.
Put the bag of
Izzy,
sand down next to it.
is you take a look around the father's bedroom, and nothing seems to jump out of any immediate distinction as you sort of glass the room.
Cool.
And then as you exit, sort of you and Martha stand before Leanne's bedroom as Lester picks up the phone. Because, both of those were pretty quick interactions. And I'm assuming you enter?
Yep.
Yeah. The two of you enter Leanne's bedroom. Lester, you pick up the phone, and through a series of connections, end up on the other line with J.D. Ackerman, who, rather than have me act it out, reveals that it's only been about half an hour, so he's yet to fully decipher all of what the text reveals. But he does tell you the following with a luck roll. Can you please give me a luck roll?
Ooh, don't screw up.
Me?
Oh, and don't screw up. Yes, you.
Sorry, yeah.
This is more a matter of the chance element of the game. How much did he get through?
Has he gotten this info in time? Yeah.
What if I roll so bad it's good and not a screw up? Because an 89 is not going to cut it.
That probably it's like going back around, like you
it's
come.
like golf.
Yeah, I
Wait,
feel like
what's
you
the opposite
move
of
around.
golf? 89's really high. That's great.
Do you have your inspiration still, or I can't remember now?
No, we
I
already
think I used it.
Right.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
J.D. Ackerman does not reveal much other than that the Vastress has the ability to accept a trade. That's about all you can decipher so far. The word trade seems to be featured prominently. And he just says, I don't know, you'll have to give me more time, I apologize. But something about a trade. Good luck, the police are here. And he sort of hangs up quietly.
Ooh.
Damn.
As you two enter the room, perhaps even Lester joins and reveals that information. And you enter Leanne's room, which is a sad sight. It depicts a girl too young for the weight that was thrust upon her. Her room is still very much of a young child. And there are signs of suffering from a severe tragedy. You enter and feel immediately saddened for her. Laying openly on her desk is a letter that she wrote.
We read it.
Yes, you do. Maybe Martha should read this one?
She doesn't deserve privacy. She's a zombie.
There you go. Why don't you read that one for us, Tim?
All right, pulling this one up. Mother Martha's, very emotional. She's probably worked in her charity groups with girls like this before. And she reads, she says, Eddie, why didn't you come? Our child was taken from us, and you stood idly by and did nothing. Do you not love me? Did you ever love me? I write these words as if they have meaning, but my heart is gone. It was taken the night Eli was taken from me. I search for the words to tell you how much you have taken from me, but there are no words which will measure my pain. You have ruined me. I will never forgive you. And as she reads this, a chill goes down her spine, realizing this is the energy they're up against, the energy that lured in a spirit. The Vastress must have seen this as a home, these feelings.
Yeah.
And that's why she murdered Eddie.
Yeah.
She could never forgive him. It's
Did
all falling
anybody want
into
to do
place.
a spot hidden?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that one worked.
Yeah?
Yeah, just a regular one.
Regular? Yeah. You, where do you check specifically?
I'm gonna check. What
There's-
pieces of furniture are there?
There's a bed. There's
Yeah.
a desk. There's sort of a dresser. It's pretty sparse. There's some, like a toy chest in the corner.
I'm gonna go through her dresser drawers.
Yeah. You open the top dresser drawer and sort of rifle through a little bit, and you feel something hard beneath. And you pull out what looks to be a very simple, plain diary.
Ooh, bingo.
You hear a and if you want, you can sort of skim read this.
Yeah. I mean, there are quite a few entries.
So you can sort of summarize just
Entry 1 is April 20th.
I'm just going to read this to everybody.
Her pregnancy. It's about how much she loves Eddie. The second entry, July 12th, how she's starting to show. August 2nd. Oh, she's trying to hide the pregnancy from her father. September 9th. And when she tells her father, he says that they could be a family. On October 10th, Eddie and the father are not getting along well. Oh, October 30th, I've bought Eli his first gift, the teddy bear. And she nods at Mother Martha. November 3rd, she goes into labor. And November 4th, he is perfect. He has the softest blue eyes and a birthmark on his thigh just like his mom. He slept with the bear in his crib the first night. And then November 8th, only 4 days later, he took Eli and gave him away. My heart is broken. November 12th, I'm a shell of a person. Eddie is gone. He has abandoned me. And then December 8th, yesterday, I have nothing. There's no more for me. Nothing left behind. I will take control of the only thing I have. My last thoughts will be of holding my baby boy in my arms one final time. And she sets the diary back down on the dresser. Shocking.
A terrible thing.
Yeah. So, should we try to head her off?
Yeah.
She's going to that orphanage.
It seems she's cognizant enough. She attacked Eddie and her father. Maybe she won't hurt the orphans, but I don't think we can count on that. We need to hurry.
Yeah, anyone who gets in her way is going to be in danger.
You're right. We've wasted enough time here. On top of that, everywhere we've gone tonight has been the scene of a crime. If the police are looking for clues and we've been seen moving in and out of these buildings, it's possible that... I don't want to think about it. Let's just not spend any more time here.
I have to change the plates on the car again. Did they have plates back then?
You all, yeah, you're 4. So the idea that everything's so
just says
simple and
car.
Yeah, car 2.
Car 2. Yes.
And with that, you all pile into the car and begin to drive. The Longdale house sits a fair distance north of Arkham, in the small township of Chesuncook. You arrive in Chesuncook as the dark sky fills you with a sense of dread. The snow has fallen for the past several hours and begins to look more and more like a storm is arriving as you come to the turnoff of Saint-Exupéry Lane. The Longdale house lay at the end of a long, narrow, snow-covered dirt road, surrounded on either side by snow-covered pine trees. There's a stillness to the evening air as you arrive in front of the orphanage, which reveals itself to be a large, ancient building. Its jutting, peaked roof is covered in snow, and its round windows personify the building, making it seem alive and sinister, as if it looms over you. There are a set of small stone steps leading up to the large double doors and a sign next to it that reads, The Longdale House, established 1785. As you arrive, while it is late, you see a man shoveling snow off the walkway, just as the storm begins to whistle wildly outside the car. With a click, the motor turns off, and you're suddenly filled with the eerie silence of being alone in the middle of a wood.
Walk up toward it, I suppose. You said there's a man outside?
I mean, we've had enough time on the drive to kind of parse our options for what kind of plausible story that we might offer. I doubt that like a ragtag group of 3 individuals usually shows up at an orphanage in the middle of the night in a storm, just like, hey, thought we'd check the place out, looking for a baby. I mean, looking for a baby is not bad. Maybe we pretend that we're a family and
But it looks
grandma.
like it's not been touched yet. It just looks like it's running normally, from what we can see.
Oh no, Gary.
What's running normally?
We're at the orphanage, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
the
it
orphanage looks like
looks
it's
normal.
functioning.
There's no screams or noises yet.
Yeah, no, there's no like fire.
Yeah.
The guy who's shoveling the snow
crater
isn't
in
a
the
demon.
That guy who's shoveling seems, he's sort of just doing his job. He doesn't even really give you any sort of acknowledgement.
Oh, okay.
I feel like all you hear now is the cooling of metal from the engine. That ding, 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 ding.
I guess
Just
I'm
the
imagining like
contracting metal just sits.
modern day orphanages just wouldn't like let you come in for a tour, but I guess this is like 1920s orphanages where they're like, we have a 2-for-1 child sale.
Well, more than that,
We have a
this
nun.
orphanage feels strangely
do
isolated.
have a
And
nun.
as you each step out of the car, this feeling as if being adrift on an ocean just envelops you. You look back towards the drive you came, the long snowy drive in which you cannot see the turnoff in which you took. And suddenly fear prickles at the back of your neck. You feel the distinct perspiration cooling in the frozen night air. It's about 10 p.m.
I've worked at houses and schools like this one. If we need to talk to anyone, I might be the person to do it.
Agreed.
Lead the way, mother.
Yeah. We can be your assistants.
I absolutely will, even without a necessary clear idea of what I'm going to say to anybody when we arrive. I feel like I can cook up some business that I would have at an orphanage like this or something.
Yeah, you begin up the long sort of walkway towards the orphanage, just as this groundskeeper is sort of shoveling the path. He sort of stops and plants his shovel for a moment as you all pass him, and he sort of averts his gaze.
A good day to you, lad.
Good evening to you. Do you say anything to him, or?
I don't think Martha would. I think she'd just continue going up like she's supposed to be here.
Yeah.
I'd leave it to either you if you want to make convo with him.
I don't think so.
Yeah, if he seems unruffled and just doing his job, then that's
I mean,
probably
you
what
give
he'd
me
tell
a
us.
psychology roll.
Sure, yeah, let's give it a go.
Welcome
We'll
to
do
take-
that. I'd be kind of taking him in my peripherals.
Let's make this an
Yeah.
RPG. Why not? Roll some
Sir,
die.
I failed that.
My dice have been bullshit all evening.
Shame them.
Yeah, mine are horse arse.
Throwing them in
70.
the garbage.
Super fail.
I got a psychology, you say?
Yeah, if you're looking for his demeanor or
I had a
anything, you say-
50 in it and I got a 31. Regular
Yeah,
success.
girl.
Yeah, do you stop and examine him or just get a fleeting sense?
No, honestly, I'd be watching him in my peripherals, but feeling like any more talking than necessary risks us getting our cover blown.
Yeah, I think you look at him and he seems concerned.
I'll note that, but I'll just keep walking onward and be like, "Uh-oh, what's he concerned about?"
I
Did
should
you
say
notice?
this.
Did you notice his
I should say
concern?
this. Yeah, he looks concerned.
And we're just incidental, or he's concerned that we're here.
The first.
I'll
That's
make
not
sure
good.
Continue on.
I'll make sure the others know. Did you notice his concern? Something's wrong here.
No, I didn't see shit.
All right.
He seemed worried about something, not us.
And yet he's still just shoveling snow. It can't be anything serious.
Keep looking around.
I want to spot hidden.
Go
I'm going to
for
see
it.
if I see any deer around.
Give me a spin.
Success. regular one?
You look around towards the woods surrounding. There's an odd stillness in the air, one that seems to have followed you all the way from Arkham. As your eyes cast around the sort of perfectly cut circle in the field where this orphanage seems to lie, deep within the woods, you feel the trees age. They're old, massive, and yet, despite the stillness in the air, the lack of heavy wind, they creak and groan in the distance. Something about it makes you feel like the woods are alive.
Oh, gives me a shiver up and down my spine, and I move more quickly towards the front door.
Perfect.
Yeah, let's just book it.
Yeah. You arrive at the front door of this looming presence of a house. Again, even the wood is worn, weathered, and beaten. And you just opened, you knock. I mean, it's 10. You know, all the lights are off almost.
Martha's going to look around and just kind of try to survey the scene. And I'm just trying to ballpark the likelihood for her. Her ideal situation would be, obviously this is not great for the security, the school, the house or anything, but if she could walk in and kind of like be moving as unnoticed as possible or as unobserved about this house, that would be her ideal situation. But is that even, is that possible at all?
Yeah, you open the door, it's open.
It's open, yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of exactly what she's hoping for. Maybe we'll just look around.
Is there any religious iconography inside? Okay.
Yeah, in the front doors, all of it seems to have the cross. And as you enter, you are greeted with this dark, empty hall. The echoing creak of the front doors seems to just follow you inward as it sort of goes straight back and tees off in either direction. You are greeted with a light, however, coming from a room to the immediate right, a small office. Are you trying to be stealthy, or are you just sort of walking in?
Martha, for her part, wouldn't be being stealthy, but maybe discreet, like trying not to draw attention to her.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Okay, yeah, you enter pretty unscathed. You shut the door behind you as, again, the snow continues to fall. You shut it with a thud. But sort of as you're shutting it, you see that the groundskeeper is just staring at you. Mm-hmm. And then it just sort of shuts on him watching you, unmoving, his back almost towards you.
I mean, what's our play here? We want to warn them, right? That there's a monster coming? Or are we sneaking around and trying to find the baby? Or what?
Is there a light on in the office, you said? Or it looks like there's someone in it with a light? Like a flashlight? Oh, shit.
No, okay. There's a light on in the office.
Okay. I mean, I want to use a phone and call JD again to see if he's figured anything else out.
Ooh. We could say that we need somewhere to stay because it's a storm.
Oh.
Yeah. She's a nun.
Right?
You can't say no to nuns, can you?
You can. It's illegal.
I've found that you can't. And they're not going to check on the car, not anytime soon, if we say that we just had some trouble with it. I think that's as good a story as any.
And maybe we can use their phone.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So you walk over to the office.
Excuse me. We knocked, but there was no answer. Is there someone here?
Yeah, you knock on sort of the glass of the office. It has that rattle. And a few seconds later, you hear the hard clipping of soles and a door open. There stands a old woman. She seems a little bit curt at first. She opens the door only about a half inch. Her eyes tight as she looks you up and down. She has a bit of a sneer to her look and a pointed nose. She goes to speak, but before she can, you hear a softer voice from behind saying, Who is that? She sort of stops and turns and says, I don't know. Who are you?
Oh, I'm Izzy McIntyre. And these are my friends here, Professor Lester Boffin and Mother Martha.
Pleasure.
A pleasure to meet you.
Down and says, And the voice from behind says, "Mother, let them in." And she sort of steps back, and you're greeted to a much warmer looking room than the cold, dark gray hallway outside. Here seems to be an office. There are 3 desks sitting here, as well as sort of a few longer tables in the corner with stacks of paperwork on them. There is a larger desk off to the side. It's sort of almost a combination bullpit seating office where prospective, I suppose, parents or officers dropping children off or things of that nature might be spoken with. And as you enter, you see a small fire being stoked in the corner by a woman with much kinder lines on her face. She stands up and walks over, the heavy cross hanging from her neck. She's wearing the same garb as the woman who greeted you, both dressed similarly to yourself, Martha, but perhaps a bit more put together. And they walk over and...
I'm a little more official than Martha, yeah.
A little more official, yes. And the woman with the softer voice says, "Hello, I am the headmistress here, Anne O'Connor." And she holds her hand out and she shakes yours and sort of greets you with warmth, Martha.
A pleasure. It's such a beautiful facility you run in here.
Your hands are chilled to the bone. Come. And she brings you all in.
She's milking this. It's like, oh yes, and like getting the nun to nun treatment, as it were. Yeah.
This woman is about your age. The older woman, still sneers a little bit at you, with good reason. 3 shabby-looking people showing up at 10 at night in the middle of the woods. It's a nun off, I guess. And she
There's just so much talk about the weather. It's unbelievable. Like we are taking. There is actual weather happening. This is going to go on for hours. And I just start talking about different winters that I have had, and out in Galway.
She's like, "But you wouldn't believe the winters we have here. They're absolutely abysmal. The snow here is nothing compared to last year. Do you remember last year, Mary?"
Well, you have to understand, I was out of town at the time.
Well, then you have no idea what we've been through. Just kidding. And she brings you over to the fire and sort of seats you all down. And again, the woman introduces her and her cohort as the both headmistresses of the Longdale house.
Oh, they're like co-headmistresses.
Correct. The sneering one introduces herself as Mary Bartlett. The kinder one, Anne O'Connor. And, they sit you down, warm you with a cup of tea almost immediately without asking. And, after a bit of pleasantries out of the way, Anne speaks up with a bit more of a serious tone and just says, "Now, why have we been greeted by your presence tonight? If I might be so bold as to ask. We don't get many visitors out here."
I mean, do we just go with full on, like, freight train truth?
You can kind of see it on Martha's face. She's like torn. Right now, she's very much leaning towards freight train truth.
Freight train truth. Freight train truth.
Do we still have the book?
We left it with Ackerman, right? Because he's still parsing all that like language stuff. It's your call. Izzy's just got her hands behind her head. She's got her feet up by the fire.
She's like, "My job's done.
I got us here by doing nothing."
So there is a phone in where we are, is there? In the office we're in?
Give me a luck roll. My gut would say no, but the fun of RPGs is to just say whatever. So.
Ooh, 17.
That's
my luck is 51. I think that's a good one.
Okay.
You did good.
I would be like ready to say what I'm about to say to these nuns if I can make sure that Lester is like already on the phone, and as he's about to say some weird, or at least maybe repeat some weird stuff he's about to hear, I'd kind of be like, all right, while that's happening, I'm gonna lay it down for you.
I was gonna
like
say,
he's about to have a weird call.
Because if we are lying to them, then Gary's going to have to be real picky about what kind of language he uses.
I want him to feel comfortable to repeat whatever he's hearing to us, even in front of these people if need be. So if he can get on the phone, then I'll start spilling the whole story beginning.
So,
I mean, not every detail maybe, but...
17 is a success for luck. So yes, there is a phone here. You know, she's like, we do need to put the coal in to power it up, but we can do it.
I hop on the stationary bicycle.
Yeah, she's like, starts bicycling.
Lester will say, would you mind if I made a quick phone call? I need to tell a friend where we are, and I just gotta make sure he knows we're safe. If you wouldn't mind, it'll be quick.
Of course. And
He'll
sort of
come
points to
over.
the phone.
He'll ring 6 to the switchboard or whatever.
Yeah, and then get it.
And then 8.
And
JD
then-
Ackerman answers and says, I have had some more time, and yes, I have deciphered exactly what, or, you know, look, Professor, this Vastress is a very vile creature. It requires something of its child, an item of the child. It can be traded, but it must be powerful, something that the child loved itself.
Okay.
But the actual trading of said object is very tricky, and I do not have the time to decipher it exactly.
I think you've given us enough to go on. I appreciate that. Thank you.
But be careful not to. And you hang up. Whatever
Lester
you
will-
do not try.
And the key to succeeding is...
Don't feed them after midnight. Don't feed the ghosts.
Love me some gremlins.
So Lester will walk back over and look at Martha and be like, you have the bear, right?
Without a word, she just pulls out, and you see a little bit of the fur, like under her robes where the rosary beads are.
My friend thinks that's a good thing for us to have right now.
And I think Mary sort of sneers, tired of the charade, and says, I don't understand why you think a bar is important in this moment. Have you used the phone and called your friend? Because it didn't sound like a call for a tow truck.
We have found ourselves in a bit of a situation here. I want to be honest with you. What's led us here is something dark and strange, and we don't, any of us, understand the full nature of it. Martha would be launching it at this point to giving these nuns, she's hoping to get like access to the grounds and stuff to look around. She would tell him the full story, kind of.
Lester will keep watch out any windows, any doors, be like,
Okay.
nothing yet.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Yeah. I think as maybe you get up to look around, another woman enters. A much younger
didn't see her.
sister. You didn't see her at all. You're like, oh,
Nothing here. Jeez.
I failed. She scares you. And she sort of is startled by this, the three of you. She just says, "Oh, hello. My name is Claudette. And she looks towards the headmistresses, sort of waiting, and Anne just holds up a hand. They were lost, and they were just about to tell us something."
With the new arrival, you can see that Mother Martha's hesitating a little bit to include more people in on what's going on. She'd like to maybe get away with saying less at this point and being more evasive. What's led us here is the fate of a dark and unfortunate event, but it surrounds the fate of a child Eli, who we believe is here, a child who may be in danger.
There's a mixed reaction from the three of them. Claudette sort of takes a half step forward and says, "Little Eli, he just came to us not too long ago. What seems to be the problem with him?" And the headmistress, Anne, sort of holds up her hands and says, "What exactly do you need with Eli?"
We think someone might be looking for the child. Someone who might be looking quite earnestly and maybe here, even now, on the grounds of the house. We're not sure. But they may be here and they may be looking to cause violence. Maybe not to the child, but to people.
To anyone who gets in the way of them and the child.
Well, if you feel this strongly, surely you've contacted the police?
We found it best to keep the authorities not involved in this. It seems that there's concerns about the child's safety. Mother's not really sure what to say to this exactly. It's obvious.
Do we remember, like, is the symbol we saw in the morgue something that's easily recreatable for us, like just on a piece of paper?
I would say the professor would have advantage on that, being a cult and sort of being the first one to see it, if you'd like to.
He'll take
that's a wise idea.
A quill. What did they have in the 20s? The biro. A
Ballpoint pen.
He'll
Not
find like
ballpoint. Fountain pen.
You take charcoal from the fire.
It's all
On the wall.
What are you doing?
You could have used the pen.
Whap.
Yes, Lester will say, sisters, do you have a pen and perhaps a sheet of parchment paper? He'll say paper. He won't say parchment.
Do you have a scroll?
I think
We're in the 20s. We don't have any.
Nearing the end of their rope, but they hand you a piece of paper.
Yeah, and to the best of his recollection, he'll draw the symbol. And if I have to roll, I'll roll. If not, I'll say, does this look...
I mean, there is art roll, but I think for the sake of this analogy, we don't need to add more difficulty on top of
He'll
it.
very crudely draw what he remembers as best he can.
Yeah.
And just like push the sheet forward and say, does that look familiar to you at all? Or conjure up any images in your mind?
Almost immediately, all of them are like, no.
No.
And Mary speaks up and she's like, I don't understand what this has to do with Eli. And Anne says, Mistress, please. What would you have us do? I'm not sure I understand exactly what you're saying, Martha, and I appreciate you telling us this. But I feel like... Now, you introduced yourself as if being lost and then calling for a car, correct? Yeah, so she kind of hits you with that. She's like, but I feel as though we're being deceived a little bit. Perhaps I'm misunderstanding. She says with sort of a cold demeanor.
If we just have deceived you, we didn't mean any harm by it. It's the child that we're concerned about, and the child's safety. If I could even set eyes upon him, it would put me at ease to know that he's in a bit less danger than maybe I've worked up in my mind. We know that someone's looking for him, and we fear that they may be here. Do you know where the child is right now? And would we be able to maybe take a look and just know that the child's all right?
Give me a persuasion roll.
Absolutely. She's definitely trying to play the nun angle on this. What harm could we do? We're not a group of investigators. It's just me, a concerned
You know what?
nun.
Actually, that's a great point.
I did just get a 1 on that, and my persuasion was 60, so it was already a really good skill. So I just
like
hover
you
off the
levitate.
ground. I am a nun. You shall do as I say. I enter the nun hive mind with them, actually, and now I control all these nuns.
That's right. You just have nun appendages that do your
Yes,
bidding.
I am just part of the nun multi-body.
Yeah, fair enough. Without, I mean,
I am not.
she allows you.
I am nun.
I think she needs to flavor it. She kind of says, she sort of drops the guard, and she says, almost flippantly, she says, look, I'm not too sure what or who would be harming the poor boy Eli, but if it'll make you feel better, sister, I'd be more than happy to have Claudette show you around.
It would be a blessing on me if we could just see.
I would appreciate, afterwards, if your car is indeed working, that perhaps, once you confirm that the child is safe, you vacate these premises. But that can be a conversation for after. And she nods to Claudette at the door. The young girl, Claudette Fleur, she sort of says, introduces herself as she walks over, and she says, yes, and show them around, and show them Eli, please. She's right. And she sort of husks you out into the cold hallway, and the door shuts behind you just as you see the groundskeeper entering the front and sort of, shaking off his boots, and he walks towards the office as well. Claudette sort of nods to him, and he nods back and heads towards the office. And Claudette begins guiding you around, sort of walking you through the hallways.
Can I linger as...
Do you have to?
I would love
No?
to... No, I loved it.
You have to let it linger.
The cranberries, isn't it?
Yeah.
With all the Irish.
Zombie.
Yeah. That's
Very
yeah.
appropriate.
Same. Yeah.
As Mother and the Professor are heading out with Claudette, and the groundskeeper is going in the office,
Yep.
I would like to just kind of casually tie my shoe and
Perfect.
fix my little boot before I join them, trying to catch a little bit of the conversation.
Give me a listen roll.
I would love to.
You
Come
know
on.
I'm such a fool for
That's all you hear behind the wall. Like,
Echoing.
wrapped around your finger.
Barely a success. 30,
Yeah, you-
39 of 40.
Yeah. Oh, it's a success though. I will tell
Barely.
you this. You don't hear what they're saying,
Okay.
but you do hear that they're speaking in a hushed tone.
Ooh.
Ain't that great? I love that. It's like you don't have to know what they're saying, but the fact that they're saying it in a certain way is important.
All right, I finish up.
What the fuck is going on?
I finish up and I hustle
Catch up.
to catch up with the tour.
Yeah,
and
so Claudette is sort of walking around and she's sort of speaking and she says, as you must have seen by the sign outside, the Longdale House has been functioning for a rather long time. It was originally a nunnery. It was closed down and reopened about 40 years ago by Father Sampson. And she sort of says as she's walking down the hall, and I want to encourage you guys, especially for this latter half of the game, to roll on anything and everything you feel you'd like to. Or say and ask anything you'd like.
who is Father Sampson? Sorry, I'm not familiar with the area.
Oh. She looks at you like this sort of rough and tumble boxer chick, you know? And she's like a little bit taken aback. And she just says, well, he was the founder of this place, a very dedicated priest, I suppose you'd say, who helped make this place exactly what it is today. He was a great man. She says with an odd bit of hesitancy.
you don't sound too sure that he was a priest, yet you call him father.
Well,
Was
that's
he a
just
priest?
that's the keeper's misunderstanding of the actual titles. I don't actually. I am so bad with. I have no religious anything, so I don't know what the.
As long as you don't say specifically what
Yeah,
like
keep it vague.
iteration of
cool.
Christianity they're
Yeah.
doing,
So
those
priest,
titles
father
are fine.
works.
Yeah,
Good,
yeah.
check. I don't know. Anyway, but no, there is still something off about the way she sort of brings it up. And you're welcome to push it like you wanted to, Gary.
Yeah, no, he will. It's like you don't sound too certain about that. Is he still around? You said was. He not around anymore? Oh, because he's dead. I'm sure because it's so long ago. That's a terrible.
40
question.
years? I mean,
Oh, is that all?
No.
Is he
Give
still
me a-
around? Where is he?
Yeah, I mean, you can give me a psychology, or you can just ask that question, or I mean, if you're looking for an answer, yeah, she just sort of says,
Yeah.
no, he's no longer around. Actually, I was brought on shortly after. I've only been here a few weeks. He was moved to Arkham. He had some problems.
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, that's all right. I didn't know him well. Just to say that his mind tended to go.
Okay, something fishy maybe is going on. The priest who opened the orphanage then went to an insane asylum? Is that
Are you
correct?
saying that out loud?
No. This is meta.
And as you're walking down the hallway, you know, you're noticing that these halls are all very cold and sort of lifeless. And it suddenly dawns on you how vacant this orphanage appears to be.
Have we heard or seen any kids yet?
Well, it's 10 p.m.
I mean, I
It is
guess,
10
yeah,
p.m.
yeah, 10
But why
p.m.
don't you give me? Why doesn't everyone give me a roll? I will be happy with any sort of role that you are interested in about this tour that she's giving you on, and I'd like your justification. I don't want to prompt you for a specific thing, because that tends to give too much away.
I'd be doing spot hidden just to keep my eyes peeled. I am looking out for anything that looks like a spooky zombie staring at us. But I got a 61. You know what? I think it's time to burn up some luck on us.
Do it.
Up luck.
I'm going to burn up 21 points of luck to make that.
Holy crow.
I am very much wanting to keep an eye out for anything.
Yeah, so you succeed, burning 21 points of luck. You notice that there are no pictures on the walls. However, there does seem to be hooks for them.
Oh.
I would like to try and persuade. Is it Colette? What's her name?
Claudette.
Claudette. I got a 54, so I am going to burn 24 luck points to succeed.
Oh my god, you guys.
Normally, you're only supposed to burn 10, but I like this.
Oh,
I like
can I not
this
do that?
all or nothing. No, let's do it.
I'm picturing
sure?
as we
Yeah.
drive into the orphanage, luck just flying out the windows of the car.
I was like, I have too much for this late in the game.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so you persuade her to say what?
So, Lester will like look at her and be like, I'm sorry, what's her name? Claudette?
Claudette Fleur.
Claudette, I'm sorry. I was like, Claudette, I'm looking around here as you're giving the tour and listening to how you're speaking. And let me inform you of something. I work as a professor, but I wasn't always a professor. In fact, I don't think I'll classify myself as one now. You could call me a professional liar. So let me tell you, I know a liar when I see one. I haven't seen any children around here, Claudette, and those two headmistresses are giving me a real strange vibe. So I'd like to ask you, truthfully, you're in a safe place here. I mean, we got a nun, and a boxer, and a good liar, hopefully. What's going on here, Claudette?
Yeah, so you I'm picturing this, maybe you stop her on the tour, and she sort of stops and she feels very affronted all of a sudden, she's you see this panicking. And there's a moment where she's kind of like, I don't know. I've only been here a few weeks, but I agree. Something does feel off. We do have children here. It's 10 o'clock. They're sleeping. But she looks back and forth, kind of, almost like in a hushed tone, her voice echoing a little bit in the hall, and she says, but we only have 12. A place like this should be able to hold 50 or more. Anne and Mary are very quiet, very secretive, more or less. They keep their rooms locked at all times. They're very strict about the rules. They're odd, keeping bizarre hours. We're not allowed to ever go into the basement, and the attic is somewhere that I've only been seen briefly before leaving. And again, she looks behind her to the hall. And I heard this morning, via telephone, that Father Samson died. He killed himself. She swallows hard and sort of looks back. Sorry, this evening, she says. This evening. And then she sort of gestures with her head and continues down the hallway. And only a few short steps away, she stops and opens the door, and you see a room filled with children, all sleeping quietly.
I love this hot nun gossip.
She holds a finger up to her lips and gestures you forward. Quietly, you enter this hall, this sleeping hall. The far end of it, you see these two bay windows showing out the snow falling fast. The moonlight makes it seem almost bright outside as it streaks in through these windows. Slowly, you head towards the end of this long hallway. You see for a second out past the windows into the frozen night, the edge of the tree line. Dark, but close enough to touch.
I rolled a spot hidden,
Oh, yeah?
and I got exactly a hard success.
Perfect. This was for the hallway or for here?
I mean, it was for the hallway, but then we kind of moved along, so
Yeah,
wherever you like.
let's roll it over.
Sure.
Because, I mean, I would have made you roll for some of the revelation that Gary got with his persuade as well. So we'll use that, and I'm sure there'll be something to figure out shortly. And as she sort of gestures to the crib, you see sitting there sleeping silently, peacefully, his small chest rising and falling, the little baby Eli, bathed in moonlight.
Does he look like he's 4 weeks and 4 days old?
Yeah.
Boo.
Little boy.
Does he have any stuffed toys with him?
He does not.
Oh,
Oh, since we're letting Claudette in on all the stuff, Lester will just tell him everything that JD told him on the phone.
that's smart, actually.
I
You
bet
do it,
accepting that
Around the children, like quietly hushed in this room.
Yeah.
JD said that we could, use the fucking trade and all that.
Speak up, I can't.
Let's go outside for a second. I got something to tell you.
Okay. And yeah, you head back out, and sure, I'll say you tell her.
Top of my
Part of
voice.
me,
We're not
the
on the
movie
room
maker in me
anymore.
wants the people to be there right away. Anne is standing outside, so you can't. But it's kind of bullshit, and I like it. So she's standing there, and she's getting this information from you, and she's like, I don't believe you, frankly, but I
wouldn't.
can't say I want to stand in your way.
Almost
What's
went full
that?
Northern Irish. I wouldn't either. It was like, that's not where
Oh,
my
you wouldn't
character's
either?
from.
No.
I wouldn't either. That's where I'm from.
And then she does sort of look back into the room and stares at the children for a second with sort of a longing. And then you see her eyes glance to the window, to the woods, and almost absent-mindedly she just says, I don't venture into the woods much. Obviously the weather doesn't warrant it, but something about them seems off. She looks back towards the office the way she came and looks back towards the three of you. I don't rightly believe you. But if you think something dangerous could happen to baby Eli, what can I do to help?
Well, surely you must have some kind of procedures in place. Orphanages are sometimes beset by unpleasant folks who want to get their babies for some reason. You must have some...
No, not really. Most orphanages are. But because they have no parents.
Well, I don't really understand the concept, I suppose.
Well, sometimes people die and babies need to go someplace. We take them. Eli was an exception.
Is there no secure place for the children?
Well,
We just walked in through the front door.
honey, this is 1920.
You
If
don't...
these
You have
kids-
locks?
If these kids die in the snow, we still get the money.
All the better.
Oh, God.
Can we at least lock the front door?
I can, but headmistresses will ask why I've locked the front door.
You say you don't go into the woods very often. Does anyone here go into the woods often? Like the groundskeeper, perhaps?
Give me a persuasion, actually. That's a good question.
Let's go persuade. Oh man, nah, I failed. I fell. And if I do burn the amount of luck points, I'll be on like single digits.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
If anyone wants to sort of jump on Lester's, you see him sort of filibustering, and she's kind of like...
I mean, the 30 would exactly succeed on my persuade roll.
Well, you have to give me another roll. Can't
Oh.
just use his number on you.
No. Sorry. I rolled a 30 for a spot
let's
hidden
use
that I
that.
never ended up using.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. So you sort of jump on his questioning when you see her floundering. What do you say?
I say, listen, I know that some of this is ridiculous, but really we are here for the best interests of the children. And if there's something deceitful or strange happening that you seem to think there may very well be, it would be helpful for us to have all the information.
I've never seen anyone go into the woods, but the headmistress often comes back with her clothes soaked, the bottoms of her boots and her skirt all covered in dried mud. It's subtle, mind you, but I do the laundry. I notice. For the amount I've seen her outside. Well, it doesn't seem to make sense.
Are there any other buildings on the property?
No. Not that I've been told. And she looks back towards the entrance again and says that they're going to be wondering. We either need to get back or...
When the headmistress returns, which direction is she coming from?
I don't know. I only know that when I do her laundry, and genuinely, I'm not actually sure if it's Mary or Anne. But it seems like they've been outside more than I'd ever seen them.
And you said you can't go to the basement, but you've seen the attic, but you've never seen the basement?
When I first came, they showed us very briefly the attic. They showed me the attic very briefly.
Could you just point out where the basement is?
Yeah, and she points, and at the end of the hall, you see a set of stairs that go up and that go down.
Mm.
Both kinds of stairs. I mean, stairs go up, but they also go down.
Deep
Just
thoughts
depends
with
what
Joe
side
Fallak.
of the staircase you're on.
You just stand at the stairs and be like, they're both going up.
These ones
You just
only
start
go up.
tripping out,
I'm so
staring at the
sorry.
stairs. Whoa.
Man.
Our minds are broken.
And you can see
Jack.
she's like ready to go back, and she's like, if you need to look around, I can distract them for a few moments at least. I can give you maybe 10 minutes.
We'll take what we can get.
All right. And she sort of nods and stops and turns around and just says, and you told her everything, or just what J.D. Ackerman told you?
I only said what JD would have said, so I could have would have phrased it in probably the same language, wouldn't have clarified anything because it wouldn't have been like the bear can be a trade as what I think based on what JD said. So I would have said they would have accepted something as a trade. I think the bear is going to be what that has to be.
And I think she just stops, and you see sort of a warmth in her eyes as she looks back towards the door of the children's room, and she just says, don't let anything happen to baby Eli. And she nods to almost herself and heads down the hall towards the office. You have 10 minutes, or so she says.
But before she goes off, can Lester just say, Claudette, if anything happens, you get us first. Don't get in anyone's way. Get us first.
Good note. Yeah, she sort of nods obediently and does like a sexy nun pout. And then...
Professor.
she's like... and then turns around and keeps going.
Sexy
Very
nun
calm.
pout?
You know, you do it all the time. Show
Still in
me
the
your sexy
20s,
nun
though.
pout.
Press was just like, oh my goodness,
Yeah,
I feel
that's
like I
pretty
committed a
good.
crime.
What did I miss?
Go repent.
She
We
said
won.
she'd give you 10 minutes, and then basically
Oh, she's going to cover for us so we
she
can
can
like...
cover you for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just let
And then
you
she
move a bit
pouted.
forward. Oh, and then I want to call you Connor. And then Lester did a very smart thing and said, if anything should come, get us first. Don't try to interject.
Smart.
So
Get in
Meta-
anyone's way.
So Meta, what are you guys expecting to happen, and what are you hoping to do?
I would like to look at the basement because I think there's shenanigans, like full meta. What I think is going on, they're doing some weird shit with children in them woods, and I think in a murderous kind of way. That's why they're going in and out of them woods, and something in the basement may lead to us knowing what is my thinking.
It's
But
too
always-
like concurrent mysteries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's what's happening.
Yeah. I feel like
That's
after
kinda
we
weird. So there's this, and then there's this impetus for the second half with Leanne.
to keep an eye out for her coming, which was almost
Okay.
certainly going to happen.
It's
At
just
the
a matter of
worst time.
yeah. If she's not in the basement, then I imagine she's out in the woods. We gotta be on high alert for her.
So you move quietly down the hallway. Again, streaks of moonlight pouring in from the sparse windows that lead to the outside, and there are numerous of them. As you head back to the T-junction, you recognize that this entire building is almost shaped like a cross. It seems to have a straight, and sort of at the precipice of it, sort of right in the center, is the stairs leading up and down. You decide to descend first. And step by step, you head down the stone steps quickly to the cellar. You're immediately greeted with the familiar scent of wet stone and dirt, earth. As you step down, a flickering light illuminates the stone walls on either side of the thin passageway. As you reach the bottom step and turn sharply to your right, you see a small stone room. Do you head in?
The door's
lit?
open.
There is light down here, yes. Flickering candlelight, you see. The door is open, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We go in the scary room. I'm imagining kind of like a awkwardly low ceiling too.
Yes.
You know, those old school
Yeah,
oh, nightmare
Ugh.
fuel.
for real.
Yeah.
It's so dimly lit down
Sleeping's gonna be fun tonight.
Mother Martha will take one of the candles. It feels like she should be the one holding the candle above her head because she doesn't really need to duck.
It's like
There's
4'8".
a small circular
Yes.
room here. In the center of this room, you see a pedestal facing a stone doorway. The door is thick and covered in carvings, but slightly ajar. Sitting on the pedestal seems to be a map on a piece of paper, drawn. And beyond the door, you see a very thin passageway.
Can I take a look at the map? What do we got on the map?
Absolutely.
Map me.
Want me to map you? Let me just make sure I got the right one here. Yeah, here we go.
So suspenseful.
Uploaded.
Oh my goodness.
Well, the first
Love
word I saw was
it.
graves.
Oh my
Okay.
god, this is scary.
I
For
might as well
those-
screen share this for the people at home.
I was going to say, for those of us who can't see what we're seeing,
I'm going to upload it right
We're
now.
glad we found this before we went into the woods.
Yeah.
black tree, gray stone, graves, always midnight, feet bound, blood drawn.
Blood drawn.
Is that for the? Oh,
Fuck.
it's 10 p.m. now.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like 10:20 or 10:30.
10:26.
I want to do a little peek into the next room.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go for it.
I do it.
You step forward. The passageway is thin enough to slip into, but too long to see to the far end. In fact, you need to hold your breath to squeeze through.
Oh, wow.
Why?
Because it's scary.
Ugh. Do we go in this spooky crevasse?
Oh man, I don't want to like. Nothing we've found has suggested necessarily that Vastris has anything to do with this place. But then, sorry, I'm just like thinking out loud. If this
Do
place kills a lot of children, which is what I'm guessing is happening, I suppose, like, will Vastris be like, well, first of all, let me just sort these bitches out. Then I'll go get my son and I'll be off. So I don't want to like leave and come back and be like, you go into the room and Eli's fucking gone.
I mean, I
But-
think that this creature is singularly possessed. I don't think she's going to show up and then like us be like, wait, there's a basement to this place? Let me go see, you know? She wants her kid back and that's it.
Eli, yeah.
But I guess this is the question. If we occupy ourselves with Eli and then midnight comes, what if another baby gets dead?
Fuck it, we go and see what the hell's going on out there. Always midnight, feet bound, blood drawn. But we go now. No feet bound.
But the woods are so spooky.
They are. And there's a big pond. Oh man.
Not a pond.
And what time is it right now?
It's 10:30.
It's 11 now. It's
No.
been half an hour.
You were just standing in the basement like,
And we only have 10 minutes of time to play with.
And we're looking at a passage here that goes deeper in.
Correct. Sort of under the guts of the house.
I have a
wanna
question.
know-
How long was our drive to get here?
A couple hours.
Okay, so if this creature is on foot, it should take at least a couple of hours to get here.
Correct.
Or more than a couple of, it's not like running as fast as a car is going.
Well,
She was able to like rip people open with it.
and broke down a door.
And
You
she
don't
beat
really
us
know.
to the dad's house, so I don't feel confident that,
Imagine
we-
this like resurrected
Terminator
motivated thing just running at full speed naked through the woods.
Oh, no. I
What
don't
if we
want to
just-
imagine that.
If we just book it down the passage as quickly as possible, get to the X, and come back. Because we only have, about 4 or 5 minutes left.
Is that what you think the map is?
That's
I
what I
thought
was
that was
trying
like-
to figure out. Yeah.
I was imagining that's like a path through the woods, and that's unrelated to this stone passageway.
Then I am... All right, okay.
That was my original thought, but then I was trying to deduce, do we actually not think that this tunnel do we think it leads deeper down, or does it actually lead out of the house and it's like a head start kind of into the woods?
If you would like to roll an idea or a knowledge or an education, I can give you an estimation.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just got a 3 on whatever that would be.
Nice.
Education would be like an 85.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, same.
All zeros is the worst one, right? That's
Yes.
100.
All zeros is 100, yeah.
Oh, no.
What?
Yeah,
How
no,
did
you don't
we
know.
just like-
Izzy just like eats the candle. But Martha, you stare at this passageway, and yeah, this sort of goes back to the center of the house, and you deduce that this map, more or less not unrelated, but doesn't seem to be where this passage. This passage.
Okay.
I say passage because it moves forward, but more or less this seems like a crack in the stone wall that you have seen something beyond. This doesn't seem like something that gets used very much. It's not something that you're constantly moving back and forth in. This is something that lies just beyond this room.
So unrelated to this passageway set out by the map.
Perhaps, yeah. This room does seem to have an element of ceremony, but it doesn't seem to have been used in a long time.
Do we recognize any of the symbols or anything that's drawn on the walls?
Nothing seems to correlate with what you've experienced so far. A lot of the symbology here seems similarly ancient, but unlike anything you've seen before, much more ferocious.
Damn. Okay, here's my thought process. We don't want to leave Eli behind while we go to investigate this other thing.
Yeah.
What if we take the sleepy baby with us? So sleepy, so little. Just bundle him right up, tuck him under an arm, go into the spooky forest with the child. That way, we know for sure that this Vastress, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Vastress, is going to come for us potentially when she finds that the bed is empty. Put it this way. She had to go to the father's house to find out where to find the baby. She doesn't have a homing beacon for the child, or else she wouldn't have had to go
Right.
there and wouldn't have had to ask. So we can buy some time by removing the child. However, we run the risk of her exacting vengeance on everyone in the place. Do we care about the retribution? Maybe, maybe not.
I mean, ugh. Yeah, fuck's sake. Difficult decision to make.
Maybe she's just going to take any baby. You know? Maybe she wouldn't...
She seems to want Eli.
I doubt it. I don't like using us as bait, but I don't like leaving the baby alone either.
According to what JD said, we have the best chance to trade something with Vastress.
Which we're thinking is the bear, right?
The bear is the guess. So,
Yes.
if we took the baby, get
And
past
we
the
tell the
nuns-
nuns where we're going. No, they're not going to let us go investigate their spooky forest.
You want to go to the Death Forest? No.
Take a light.
You step on
fuck.
the bones, you've
You're not
reached
going
it.
to like this.
Okay, maybe...
So, you're
Had we-
standing in this small circular room around this pedestal. There seems to be a crack in the wall where you can see something just beyond. Something that pricks the back of your mind with curiosity.
I go look at it. I'm going to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah,
I
Izzy
sneak
steps
through.
forward. She takes a deep breath and squeezes in. Yes.
I'll shine the
Martha
candle in, like
lights
I'm
the
behind
candle.
her, just my candle in my arm going in.
Perfect, yeah. Izzy, as you press through this tight passage, you feel the cold, wet stone against your back. This is not a way that people take, and yet, as you step out, you are in a much smaller room, almost the size of a sarcophagus standing upright. There does not seem to be another exit to this room. For a moment, your eyes adjust to the flickering light of the candle, and then they land upon a frightening visage directly in front of you. A man, cast in iron, screaming in agony, leans forward. Roots of trees have grown through the earthen wall and envelop him. His jaw is open. Give me a sanity roll.
Okay.
Would
Nope.
Martha be seeing
Fail.
that as well?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think because you're
I'm
like
blocking
just
the
holding
way.
candle, what you see is like this obfuscated view of like Izzy looking at this thing.
Her silhouette shaking.
Yeah, and she's just staring at this thing. You failed?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me a 1d12 sanity.
Oh. 8.
Yeah, and you are just overcome with this vision of terror.
Yeah.
Beyond that, there's nothing in this room.
I start scooting backwards as fast as I can.
But like with the panic and having to like hold your breath to squeeze through, you can't quite make it. You're like trying, but you're stepping back and you're trying, you're stepping back. You're just like panicking. And suddenly the walls are, just coming in on you. Everything feels so close and claustrophobic. Give me a dexterity roll.
Ugh. Yes, I succeed.
Yeah, and you just manage to like push yourself out back into the pedestal room as you almost hear this whispering as you leave, just this like the minute you leave, it just sort of follows you back into this room.
I fall on my ass into the room and like crack the back of my head pretty hard on the pedestal.
Oh dear.
And I see stars for just a minute. And when I come to, I'm just babbling. And then there's a dark room and there's a man. He's just, and his mouth is open.
And I think from here on out, anything larger, anything smaller than this room that you're in right now, which is pretty smaller, I want you to try to get out of. I want you to have this real claustrophobic feeling.
All right. Understood. Don't go back there, by the way, guys. In case you're curious, not worth it.
Mother Martha
Don't
gives
worry.
that alcove like a dirty look. Like, how could you do this to us?
Yeah.
Dark alcove.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go deal with the
Gonna get outta
baby.
here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You begin up the stairs quietly, and you emerge to the floor of the Longdale House in eerie silence. For some reason, it felt so loud downstairs. Something about the closeness of the walls. And as Martha and Lester begin moving towards the child, Izzy, you hang back and you hear something. A whispering in your ear. It just seems to be just over your shoulder, and at first you can't decipher what it is, and as you turn around you see that no one stands there. It just sounds like a man's voice, but you can't tell exactly what he said.
Oh. Did you hear that?
No.
There's someone here.
Shine those. Oh, I imagine I took the candle with me, actually.
Yeah,
I take
yeah.
that candle and I shine it around.
Which makes the hallway so much more terrifying, because now your eyes had adjusted to the darkness using the windows to illuminate, but now you see this cusp of darkness, and just beyond is nothingness. And for a moment, the three of you stand back to back in the center of this hallway as you sort of turn around, the fluttering of the fire just, as you turn, and you just see this darkness. And you turn again and you see this sort of envelop of darkness. And then you hear it. At first you think it's maybe the heart in your chest beating through your ears. And then you recognize it. It is the dull, wet footsteps on the wood behind you. You turn the candle once again, Martha, and just at the edge of the light in the darkness, you see Leanne's visage. She appears before you, stark naked, her hair damp and wet, her skin pale and undead. Her fingers, seemingly longer than they were, are drenched in frozen blood. Her feet are bare, her eyes black, empty. A gurgling sound sort of comes from her chest as she breathes. And she stands there for a moment. What do you do?
Probably roll sanity again.
Everyone do roll sanity.
Great call. That's a great call. Will Mother Martha be brave enough?
Yes.
No, sir.
At the beginning of this adventure, it would have been enough, but a 42 is not enough for Martha
I
anymore.
rolled an 85.
Everyone who fails, take 1d12.
Oh,
I got a 23. So
3.
It's 1d8 if you succeed.
it's 1 damage.
Nice. What's everyone's sanity at?
21.
I'm down to 31.
Oh, man. 45.
Okay, yeah. You all stand.
No, I scramble backwards against the wall. I've never backed down from an opponent before, and this sight has chilled me to my very core. Probably these liminal echoes of the whispering just in my brain, and then presented with this terrible figure. And knowing that she is an unstoppable force who is capable of murdering a grown-ass man, I step back.
Yeah. And as you do, you sort of see the full picture of what's transpired. Moving away from the light, you see the far end of the hallway, the window smashed open, muted by you being in the basement, And you see her blood-red footprints melting as she walks through the hallway, standing just before you. But you're kind of cowering against the wall, and again you hear it, a whisper. It sort of starts in your right, and then it comes to your left, and you can hear it again. Something about waking. Just waking. You look behind you, but you're against the wall. Martha, Lester, you see Izzy panicked, moving against the wall. Give me a sanity roll, by the way. And the two of you are standing there with light and a creature before you.
Oh, I succeeded.
Perfect. 1d6.
Fuck.
What do you do?
And that was the sanity check for the initial
man.
seeing that. Yeah.
She did another. She got one for whispering.
'Cause of my
You guys did your
whispers.
sanity check. You're good.
Oh, the whispers. Oh.
She's hearing something else.
Got whisper
The
problems.
whisper problems. Martha, what do you do?
I think the moment when she sees Izzy reacting the way she does and only takes 3 sanity damage from seeing this creature, I think that seeing Izzy in fear is what motivates her to, at first she's rooted in place out of fear, and then as the thing gets closer and Izzy reacts and backs to the corner, Martha has looked out for orphans most of her life, and seeing Izzy like this triggers something maternal in her immediately, and she steps forward, and then realizing she's already committed to this, in kind of a shaking hand, fear and desperation reaches into her robes, and at first it seems like she's pulling out her rosary beads. You hear them clatter, and instead she pulls out the bear, and with a shaking, hesitant hand, kind of haltingly holds it out and offers it to Leanne.
I think
Yeah.
as you pull them out, your rosary beads actually fall.
Clatter to the ground, yes.
There's this like moment, and your eyes, like, here's a question. Do your eyes divert to them having fallen, or do they stay true?
No, I hear them fall to the ground. They break the rosary beads, and I don't look at them. I don't care really about them. I care about this bear, and I care about her.
And I think that's the moment. And with Martha locking her eyes with this creature, you hold the bear out, and in the darkness, Leanne's hand stretches forward, and you feel the absolute frozen fingertips just brush against yours as she holds the bear. She turns it towards her face. The note still pinned to its chest, "To my boy Eli." She stares at it, tilting her head just slightly as she looks the thing up and down. And then she brings it to her chest. And she stands there for a moment, holding it. Lester, what do you do?
Lester is like muttering to himself, thinking like this. Okay, this is real. This, and he'll speak up and he'll be like, Leanne, Vastress, Leanne, whoever you are, this was given to Eli by his mother. He slept with it the first night she gave it to him. He truly loved this simple thing, but it was his, and it is the last thing left of his mother. I know this contains his essence as much as hers. We ask that you take this instead of the child. And then he will just not be able to talk anymore. Be like,
Yeah. She looks up from the bear at you. Again, the cold, full black eyes staring in your direction. And she turns around and begins heading back the way she came slowly.
Oh.
We did it. We did it. We did it.
You stand unmoving in the hall as you watch her shamble out and sort of grow smaller in the moonlight against the snow. And as you hear that, the sound almost comes up quietly. The loud dinging of the final strike of midnight from the hall clock. It sort of rings out as you look towards it and see that it's past midnight now.
Do you want to do this? Let's finish this thing. Go out into the
leg
spooky
it.
woods.
Done.
yes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Goodbye, naked
Not
lady.
done here. Farewell.
You
See you
turn,
later.
and in that moment you see, Claudette panicked running over to you, and she says, "They took Eli. I don't know what happened. Eli's gone." She says through tears.
We
Book
run
it.
I
So
so fast.
Booking it.
You bolt out the back door.
We have
of
the map, so we know
Longdale House.
exactly where we're going.
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
Get on
Through
my back,
snow,
Martha.
you see a set of
Yes! Done.
You see a set of
Totally.
footprints through the snow, and you follow them.
Yeah,
Through
cardio.
the tight, dark woods you enter. They seem to loom overhead, and you pass by a tree black as night, scarred as if it were burnt long ago, yet it still stands. To your left, you see a murky, frozen pond, and as you run through the woods, sweat freezing on your foreheads as you can barely make it, you come to the clearing. You see, standing with her back towards you, the headmistress Anne. The crying of the baby
Still in time.
standing,
Oof.
lying on the pedestal before her.
I run up and punch the nun in the back of the head.
Give me a roll.
This is what I was built for.
This is what you were.
This is why I'm on the team.
Punch her.
Punching.
Get her, Izzy.
Hard.
Oh yeah, I punch her really good.
Yeah?
I sound like I'm fully supporting this.
It's just a regular success, but I do a good punch.
You run up and you crack her in the back of the head. You hear the audible crack as she belts forward. The child sort of like rolling on the pedestal, this tiny baby. Lester, Martha, what do you do?
Try to get the baby.
Yeah.
Get the baby.
You
Get the
run up and you dive beneath it just to hold this tiny little infant. It's freezing in the cold. You see the dim candles flickering in the light. Anne sort of looks up towards you, blood leaking from her nose as her eyes sort of swell with tears.
What the fuck do you think you're doing?
She goes to speak, but she doesn't need to. She looks up behind the edge of the trees, creaking as they move.
Oh no.
Something large approaches. Lester, you stand with the child. The woman wipes the blood from her nose and says, "He needs a vessel. He's always needed a vessel. For 40 years he's needed a vessel." And she looks up towards this thing. As it emerges from the trees, everyone give me a sanity roll.
Oh.
Oh, I succeeded.
You succeed?
I got
Same.
11.
No way.
Yeah.
Take 1d8.
Zero's not a 10, is it? Zero's a 0. I got a 40 and a 0.
A 40. That's just 40.
Good, I succeed.
You succeed? Perfect.
I do.
Take a 1d6.
Barely. But I did.
I succeeded as well. Should I roll a D8 or a D6?
Sorry, what did I say? You all succeeded? I said d8, right? D8
Oh,
for
yes,
success.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Did anybody fail? No, no one failed.
I have 10 sanity left.
Yeah, you're feeling crazy, and more so as you see this thing move. At first it looks as though the trees themselves are parting, and then you realize that the creature that emerges from the edge of the woods looks to be as if it were woven from the bark and roots of a tree itself. It steps out with a thud. This creature has what looks to be an amalgamation of pieces of the forest itself. Frost-covered skull from a fallen creature eons ago. Moss that is frozen over. Long, root-like, willow tree-esque pieces that hang off of this hulking form as it emerges. Lester and Martha, you are both stricken to the bone, but it is you, Izzy, that hears his voice.
Oh.
The waking man. The one that you heard spoken to you by the man who stepped from the roof. The woken man comes, and as you hear the whispering voice, it builds in cascades. Indecipherable, you hear layers upon layers of whispers. No God, no love, no life, no fear. The voice of the man building as you see its eyes. its frozen, lifeless eyes staring you down. No heart, no throat, no child, no ears. It builds to a crescendo. Anne's laughter in the falling snow seems to fall to the background as its whispers grow to where I tore my eyes to see. The woken man is leading me, and suddenly you feel the overwhelming urge to embrace the creature that stands before you. I will let you give me a roll to counter that feeling, and it will be a sanity roll.
Here we go.
Easy, no.
Let's do it.
Is he standing in the snow?
Easy.
Standing in the snow, staring up at this monstrosity, this huge entity, the forest alive, as it speaks to her and only her. And without a backward glance at her companions, she starts to walk forward towards the waking man, hearing his call in her brain.
Izzy seems to stop from your point of view, for you don't see the roots that stab into her flesh, but you do see her lift from the ground as the inside of this creature opens and draws her quickly dying body into its chest as roots cover her once again, and it returns to the trees as if it never existed. I think the next morning, perhaps, after keeping Anne under lock and key, the police do arrive. It seems to be a much brighter day. A child, young as he may be, feels strong in your arms, Lester and Martha. Claudette, true to her word, had no idea what had happened. Mary, not so much. You leave Longdale House behind you and find a proper home for the child, Eli. As you continue back towards Arkham, the drive is silent. Martha, you still feel the bruises on your knuckles from where you knocked out.
Yeah.
Before the monster showed up, I had meant to say I would have rushed in while the baby got saved and she got punched and just been like, as she delivered her speech, just boom, right? Branch right to the face.
And it's almost like a war wound. You know, you have like the scar from where the tree sort of, you know,
absolutely. I'm not throwing branches around every day. Yeah.
And you're looking down at your hands sort of absent-mindedly as you all you return to Arkham. You let Leonard Grimsby know more or less what happened. You let the police station know more or less what happened. And as the day seems to warm up, the two of you arrive at the grave of Leanne Paddock to say a final prayer for the poor girl, knowing that there is something else out there waiting for all of us. And we are going to end there for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Call of Cthulhu.
That was awesome.
Awaken Children. Great job, guys.
Terrifying.
Great job, you, Harlan.
Yeah, that
Holy
Harlan,
crap.
That was so good. Oh my
For those of
God.
us listening, an original module written by our very own Harlan Guthrie.
Absolutely. I couldn't get
Amazing.
over that.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
so cool.
And in fact, that whole thing, it's about 15 pages. I just read it from when I wrote it, so it doesn't take that much stuff to do it. I'll put that on the Patreon, so anyone who watched this and enjoys it, you can have this downloaded as well as all the handouts. It's yours. But thank you so much for Tim for joining us. This was an absolute blast.
Thank you. This
You're
was
awesome, Tim.
great.
I want to say a few things, which is really funny. So obviously the way you do everything is up to you, and the way the ending goes is up to you guys. It's very much how you decide to do things. But there is a play where you go to her house first, and you talk to the dad, and the dad's alive, and you do all that stuff. But if you get there, I make you do a roll, and if you succeed or fail or whatever, you do see the silhouette of her standing across the street watching. And I thought it was really funny because you mentioned it. You know, you mentioned it. You're like, oh, do we see? It would be so scary if someone's standing across the street. And I was like, that actually happens if you went to this place first.
If you catch her there.
100%.
Yeah, because you
gotta
don't
head her
really
off.
know-
Otherwise,
Exactly,
she's way ahead of
exactly.
us at this point.
Yeah, it's really
And
funny. But
I thought that whole scene was so great where like we went off on our own, and I was like, I felt like the nun got used as a prop so well in that moment where he's just like, I'm just gonna wander out into the snow, and then a deer comes bursting
oh, that was
out.
so great.
I'm like, I feel like I'm part of like the scenery you added at this point. A creepy nun on your shoulder, like, yeah, while the deer runs by. I'm like, this is the vibe. This is the trailer right here for sure for this movie.
Well, that was
So
an absolute
good.
blast. You guys did so good. I couldn't have asked for a better crew. Thank you so much, Tim. I'm glad that this was your first Call of Cthulhu game. Or second.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I had made that clear for the audience, but this was so exciting because I have never gotten to play Call of Cthulhu before.
But you
This
run
is
like
so-
hundreds of games.
I've run it so much, and to actually get to play for a change, and especially when it's horror and it's all about getting to experience it. Oh, I was pins and needles at the
Yeah.
end there, like knowing
that
that
was
the zombie was going to be coming in, but like
I thought we were
right
just
on
going
the
to
edge-
save the kid. And then this, I mean, obviously, when you interrupt the ritual, then the monster gets angry. Didn't
So-
even occur to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of options here in terms of how it all plays out. But you're right. You know, it's two storylines essentially. It opens with the man who killed himself, which is the father from the Longdale house, the man. She told.
Yeah.
So, which again, it's interesting because these are all bits and pieces that you can find
not
out
put
by
that
going to the
together.
attic, and like there are pieces there that paint the full picture.
Was that like his body in the basement, basically? Like that's like his
So-
anchor, kind of. Like
No, so what that was, so really the Longdale house, and you find this out more if you go to the attic, is it's anciently old. You know, it's from the 1700s, and it used to be a nunnery. So what this was, it was actually built around essentially this horrific effigy of a thing called the Woken Man, which is like. It's got this whole long, rich history of like ancient, man being tortured and killed in a tree, and they built this thing around it that essentially drove this guy found and went crazy and kind of created this whole secondary subset of like appeasing this god of the woods, more or less.
Right.
It sort of has this sky
Eldritch
view,
ecosystem essentially
Exactly,
got
which is-
established.
which is my favorite thing in the world. But anyway, you guys did so tremendously well. Tim, I'm hoping we get to count you back for whenever we do Call of Cthulhu next, which should
Would
be too far.
absolutely love to. That would be a
You heard it,
delight.
everybody. He said he's going to come back.
I'm
Contractually
loving, I love
obligated.
any Call of Cthulhu. I'm
Good,
down for
because
it,
we
for
need
sure.
more Tim in our lives. I think that's the
Absolutely.
the full answer to this campaign. But that is it from us, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Again, please make sure you check out our friend Tim's awesome book, Random Tables, Cities and Towns.
By 10 copies.
He is a doctor.
And
so
hopefully a new one coming out soon. I'm going to be doing a dungeon-themed book of tables, so we'll see how that
Nice.
goes.
well, maybe when you
But
come on, when it releases, you should come on and like show, run something and show.
a perfect
Ooh.
excuse, it sounds
Yeah,
like.
just
Yeah,
something like
absolutely.
that. But no, this is absolutely wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Please make sure to like the video and all that stuff. Follow Tim on all the amazing stuff he's doing. And that is it from us. As my good friend Gary always likes to say,
You can eat yellow snow. Just do it.
you can eat yellow snow.